Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Muted looking ass coming at you live. Ha! Good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday, everyone. It is Sunday, July 27th, 2024. And I am coming at you live from Studio J in Clearwater, Florida. Let us know in chat where you're coming from. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And everybody, please give a thumbs up. Welcome in, everybody. We're going to be going over this latest hearing of Sarah Boone, the suitcase woman. Sarah Boone is accused of locking her boyfriend George in a suitcase and leaving him there to die. Sarah Boone has been through 8 lawyers and now is representing herself. So she is complaining too about the lack of notice for this hearing, etc., etc. Paul Clinker, good morning. Good morning. Good to see some new some faces we haven't seen in a while. We had a late night last night on the other channel.
Going to the Clinker, the big house.
I was up late past my bedtime last night. I didn't get offline until like midnight, and I was like, oh my God. So good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good day. Any big plans on the docket for the weekend? Can we just talk about our mouth movements? It gives you the ick, Malibu. It's Saturday, yes, because I just been to work. Potato, you're done with work for the day? Time to relax? Hi, Patrick51. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. Time zone in check. Hi, Truth Seeker. Good to see you, Steph. Good to see you. You're working too, so it's Saturday. Captain Ganja says that was so funny last night. Funny and scary at the same time. Laundry. Angie B says I watched the replay and about pissed my pants.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
Wait, did I say it was Sunday? Why do I do that? Sarah says I'm grounded for being late. It's okay, Sarah. Oh, you're on break, Potato. Let me start over. It is Saturday, July 27th, 2024. I am coming at you live from Studio J in Clearwater, Florida. How about that? Sarah. Yeah, it was scary too. Good morning, Barbie. Let's let everybody get a chance to join. Hi, Juicer. Good to see you. Siobhan, good to see you, babe. Oh my God. Angie, like what is going on with that? I'm not going to lie. I had a few nightmares last night about that. Last week you gave us an extra day. This week you stole one. Remember when I said it was January? I was like, it's January. Jacqueline Knack, way late to this. No one's late. We just started. All right. So this is Sarah Boone. She was in court a day ago for a status hearing where she is told that she's going to represent herself. Let's take a listen.
Dave Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Ms. Boone, good morning. Could you please raise your right hand so Madam Clerk can swear you in? Ma'am, good morning. Can you state your name and date of birth for the record for me?
Sarah Boone, 10-10-77.
We also have a representative.
Hold on. That's not loud enough, is it? Let me boost. Let me give you guys some audio gain. Sarah Boone. They should give her a mic. Okay, let's see how this goes. Hopefully it's not too loud. Hi, Scottish girl. Gray Cooter.
From Prison Break Investigation. Sir, if you could come forward, please. If you could, sir, raise your right hand, Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in.
Good morning, Teresa.
All right, sir, good morning. Could you state your name for the record?
Billy Lane.
And Mr. Lane, what's your affiliation with Prison Break Investigations?
I'm the owner and just investigator.
Okay, very good. The reason we had this hearing this morning
Is there a double echo?
is the court has found that Ms. Boone has forfeited her right to counsel and waived her right to counsel alternatively by virtue of her conduct in this case. As such, Ms. Boone is currently representing herself. The court has been working diligently to provide you the discovery. I received your letter, ma'am, and I have reviewed it. We have not forgotten about you. It's just taken some time in order to coordinate the appropriate processes with the jail. In conversations with the jail, a laptop has been secured and will be issued to you after USB drives are provided with all the discovery. Upon the jail's receipt of those items, the following provisions will be adhered to. The laptop, charging cable, and USB devices will be kept in the FDC main control room when not in use. At no time will the charging cord be placed in the housing unit. Upon the return of the laptop to the FDC main control, the laptop will be placed on the charging cable to ensure it is available for the next day's usage. The laptop and USB device is to be accounted for with the control room inventory. The control room DST or CO will make logbook entries for the issuing and returning the USB device and laptop. The dorm officer will make logbook entries for the receiving and returning of these items to the applicable movement officer. A notebook entry will be completed in IMS for every issuance of the laptop and USB device to inmate Boone. The laptop and USB device will be available daily to you, Ms. Boone, between 0800 and 1600 hours. A notebook entry will be completed in IMS for every issuance of the laptop and USB device to yourself, Ms. Boone. The discovery was provided at the court previously and is in the two bankers boxes that are in front of the court to your left, Mr. Lane. I'm going to order you, sir, to take possession and custody of that discovery that was provided to the court previously on June 28, 2024. You, through Prison Break Investigations, shall copy all of the discovery onto as many USB jump drives as necessary. The Judicial Administration Commission for the state of Florida shall be...
Okay, hold on. I have to interrupt here. What is Prison Break Investigations? Prison Break Investigations handles the discovery? Prison Break? What the fuck?
responsible for the fees and costs due to Prison Break Investigations for copying all of the discovery onto as many USB jump drives as necessary. You will appear for a hearing with the court on August 1st, 2024 at 8:45 in courtroom 12A of the Orange County Courthouse with the discovery and all USB jump drives containing the discovery. A representative from the Orange County Jail shall also appear for that hearing as well. At that point in time, Prison Break Investigation shall hand deliver all USB jump drives containing the discovery to the representative from the Orange County Jail in order to be placed onto the laptop that is currently secured and to be issued to the defendant for all trial and court preparation. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
I have a conflict for August 1st, Your Honor. I'm
Okay.
supposed to be out of state from Tuesday until Friday of next week, which I believe would encompass August 1st for my son's wedding.
Okay, well, congratulations. When do you return from your son's wedding, sir?
I will be back late Friday evening, so I'll be available the following week.
Okay, will you be able to complete that task by that time?
Yes, sir, I'll do my best.
Okay, sir, we will see you on give me a second, I want to make sure I get the date right. Monday, August 5.
So Prison Break Investigations is a private investigator. They have a due process contract authorizing due process payments through the Florida Justice Administrative Commission. In the past 8 years, Prison Break Investigations has committed to working over 2,000 criminal defense investigative cases. They offer a convenient and reliable solution for criminal defense investigations throughout Florida. Our team is proficient in visiting clients in jail, investigating factual matters, and conducting interviews. Our commitment extends beyond fieldwork. We provide a thorough investigation that doesn't conclude until the end of trial. During trial, we assist attorneys in examining factual matters related to jury selection and cross-examination. In addition to criminal defense investigations, we also offer domestic surveillance and family cases. With over 120 years of law enforcement experience, our team is one of the largest and most experienced in the industry. Let me show you this website. I mean, it sounds hokey to me. I mean, I know it's not. I know they're using them, but I've never heard of this before. I thought they all did this in-house. I didn't know this went any other way, but check this out. Look at their website. Oh my God. There it is. That's what their website looks like. So she has to rely on Prison Break, I guess. Isn't that strange?
At 8:45. Okay, you'll be given a copy of the order that I just read from. Ms. Boone, you'll also be given a copy of the order. Do you have any questions for me?
I am thoroughly confused. Was a notice ever put online for this or mailed to anyone? I don't even know why Mr. Lane is here. I don't know why I'm here.
Well, ma'am, you are now representing yourself, and previously you had requested to appear at every hearing that was held. As you are now representing yourself, the court cannot have any hearings regarding your case without you being here. I put on the record and explained to you the process that the court has had with communications with the jail. I'm not allowed to look at any of that. I'm not allowed to copy any of that. So in speaking with the jail and understanding that you still have a private investigator that was provided to you through the state that's being compensated by the state, you're still allowed to utilize his services. The protections of the attorney-client privilege are still.
So she's got this Prison Break investigations paid for by the state. Trisha, she's been through 8 lawyers.
Applicable to him, so he's able to review any of these documents, ensure that they are safely copied without violating any terms of the privileges. Those will then be placed on multiple USB drives and provided to you. Those USB drives will then be uploaded to a computer that has been secured for you at the jail for you to access all of that information.
Okay. My question is, was a notice of hearing posted or mailed to anyone to where apparently the news crews obviously got it? How is it that I do not know anything about this other than my bunk being kicked at 3 o'clock in the morning telling me I have court?
Ma'am, I have no other way to get in touch with you other than setting the hearing, which was set yesterday once I received confirmation.
She said she had no notice other than her bunk being kicked at 3 in the morning. Now, let me ask you this, guys. If you were a defendant, would you trust this investigations crew with your discovery? I think that's weird. I think it's weird. I think that the discovery should stay within the court. I've never heard of such.
From the jail as to the processes for how this would work. And I understand that your case is important, and I want to move it as efficiently, as diligently as possible. I know that you've been waiting for this information, and it took some time to confirm the process with the jail. You've advised me that you have very limited space, you have almost no privacy, you have a small drawer where you can keep some personal effects. We could not send all of those boxes with you to the jail, and the jail advised me that they cannot take all those boxes. A process had to be created to make sure, and this is the process.
The process that I was explained after speaking to a couple of sergeants, and I've been waiting for that, and I would much rather prefer a hard copy of these to where I can write on them as opposed to anything that's on a laptop.
I am unable to provide that for you. I have been provided the process has been provided to me by the Orange County Jail. I understand that's your preference, but I can't do anything more than what I've done right now.
I understand. And I have had other information given to me, which is why I've been waiting for the boxes for them. So I don't know, is this something that I need to pursue continuously still for me to be able to receive my hard copies? Because no one tells me anything.
I cannot answer that question because that may call for me providing you legal advice, which I am prohibited from doing.
Okay. Well, because I have no other way of contacting you other than in a letter, and it's AKA worldwide. So am I supposed to go back and speak to the captain and whoever else it is that I might need to speak to in order to receive these?
Again, I cannot answer that question. All I can tell you is that we will have a hearing on August 5, whereby which Prison Break Investigations will provide all of the information on USB drives. Those will be provided to a representative from the Orange County Jail who will place all that information on a laptop for you to use, and that's accessible for your use from 0800 to 1600 every day.
Right. Okay, so I guess I will figure that out, because if I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't utilize the laptop, which is another reason why I was looking forward to the hard copies. So my other question is my time prorated for the time that I've been waiting for my discovery?
I'm not sure I understand what that means.
Will I be having additional time added, or will it be extended from the time period of me waiting for my discovery still?
I'm not in a position to answer that question. I don't know what it is that you're asking for.
My pretrial is supposedly set for September 24th, I believe it is. So obviously I will not be prepared, and obviously I do not know what I'm doing, and obviously I'm still waiting for my discovery. So for that time period that I have been waiting for almost 4 weeks now, will that be added to the time frame in order for me to be properly prepared?
As of right now, the dates are what the dates are, ma'am.
Okay, so I just miss a week, a month.
All right. I think she's nuttier than a fruitcake, but looking at how lost she is, I mean, imagine this being you. I'm looking at it from both sides. Mark Klein, I think so too. I think it seems a little messed up. And I get it. She should have cooperated with her lawyers if she wanted to know what was going on. Because the lawyers would be able to keep you abreast of what's going on, right, Sarah?
The dates are what the dates are.
So I also sent you, I believe, 5 motions. Have you received those?
No, ma'am, I have not.
They were mailed last week.
Then I have not received them yet. The last correspondence I got from you, ma'am, was received on July 8th.
Okay. 5 motions I've mailed. They're probably sitting wherever else it is, considering it takes a day for you all to receive my mail, considering I'm right down the street from you all. So I have those also in order, which may change whatever information or anything that I'm trying to acquire in between now, the month less that I have in order to prepare for my trial. That's in October. So if you could keep an eye out for those also. I don't know who I'm supposed to ask. How did Mr. Lane come into any of this? Like, how was he called?
Mr. Lane has been your investigator in this case, and he was advised to attend this morning's hearing by virtue of being provided the discovery in order to digitize it so that you can have access to it.
The court contacted him?
I did not contact him.
Who contacted him? If it's
Am I allowed to speak to him directly?
You can?
Mr. Lane, who contacted you in order for you to be here, please?
The JA contacted me.
If I'm pro se and my own attorney, shouldn't I be included in all of this so I know what's going on and not a surprise hearing like it is again for the second time?
Ma'am, again, this is why there were benefits to being represented by counsel. The court has already identified in its 16-page order the reasons for why you no longer have those benefits.
Right.
Wait a minute, though. Don't you think that she should be able to know what's going on and talk to this investigator if this investigator has been provided to her by the state? That doesn't even seem right to me. I mean, I'm not defending what she did by any means, but if she's got to rely on that guy on the screen to get her these documents and get her these thumb drives, why can't she talk to him if they're supposed to be working on her side of the case? Right, but she shouldn't be forced into that, shaker maker. She shouldn't be forced. Maybe she wasn't offered a plea. She can't accept a plea if she wasn't offered one. And they got this dude on the screen, and she's never even talked to this guy. And he's got all her discovery. How do you defend yourself if you can't talk to the guy who has your discovery? That's wrong. Something stinks.
It makes things exceptionally more difficult, as I explained to you, in communicating with the court and communicating with the state attorney's office.
Isn't that what a certificate of service is for anything that's filed by anybody in the court?
There
That
was,
should be included in that.
ma'am, there was no certificate of service for setting this for today. This was coordinated by the JA. You were advised as soon as it was set. It was set yesterday.
It's just very odd to me that the news knew about it before I did.
Again, I can't speak to that.
And so nonetheless, my constitutional right to counsel is being forfeited on your behalf in the court. So now I don't get appropriate notice in preparation for me to be able to be here and doing what I'm supposed to be doing and act as and perform as?
I've already addressed the reasons, ma'am, for why there was a forfeiture and alternatively a waiver in the 16-page order that you were provided. Again, it's difficult to communicate with you based on where your current housing is. I'm not able to pick up the phone. The judicial assistant's not able to pick up the phone to communicate with you or send you an email to schedule certain things. And it leaves a little bit of a level of further complication.
How is it the news knows before I do?
You keep asking the same question, and the answer is going to be the same. I cannot answer that question for you because I do not know.
Okay, but you do know it's harder for me.
I would agree with that, yes.
And you do know that you did not ask me any questions in regards to your order. You just read it straight off and never asked me what's what or how many with anything of it.
Ma'am, if you have questions, I can certainly try to answer them. I'm trying to facilitate you getting that information that you're certainly entitled to, and it took time for a process to be created by the Orange County Jail, as they had advised me. They do not have a place to store 2 banker's boxes of information, nor are they in a position to provide you physical copies. This is what I've been advised as the process is. As soon as that process was finalized, I set the hearing. This was finalized yesterday.
No one ever asks me. I've been waiting for the boxes. I really don't know what to say, and because I supposedly have no way to contact you other than a letter, and the same for you, I don't know how the news crews got here before I did.
News crews.
But I don't know, going forward, how is it that I'm supposed to be able to communicate with you other than me sitting here in front of you at these, I guess, supposed surprise hearings that I'm going to have every single time that it is that you would like to speak to me? Is that what it's going to be?
Ma'am, I cannot answer that question. All I can tell you is that you can communicate with the court through the avenues that you've been utilizing previously by and through letter writing. As I said, I do not have your letters that you sent last week. They're not in the court file, and they were not in my inbox yesterday. So as soon as I receive them, I will diligently review them, and if we have to set a hearing, you'll be properly noticed for it.
In the certificate of service?
You'll be properly noticed for it, yes, ma'am.
And will there be a proper notice for today?
Notice was performed last night. I've already explained.
Am I allowed to ask the news crews how they got here?
No, ma'am, I'm not going to let you do that. They're not under oath. They're not a party to this action right now.
It's wrong and it's unfair.
You're certainly entitled to that opinion.
Am I allowed to ask him a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Lane, how is it that you and I are supposed to be speaking to one another?
So my suggestion would be, since you're now the attorney and you are pro se, that either you or your honor gives me access to the jail to come visit with you, and I will be happy to do that. It is the policy of the Orange County Jail to have a letter represented from an attorney to allow me to access you. That's the reason for the past previous couple of attorneys I've not had the ability to come out and access you, but that's changed. And I would be happy to continue to move forward with any investigative actions I can do for your defense.
So why didn't the other attorneys ever put him in contact with her? She's had 8 of them. Why the fuck hasn't she met with this guy as of yet?
When I can get their access.
So you need a letter from me.
Or the judge, or the jail, somebody that will allow me access to you. Yes, ma'am.
And I send it to you directly?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a letter also that you'll be supplying to him?
I don't know that I'm in a position to compel the Orange County Jail to do anything.
But you all are the ones who contacted him.
But I can't tell the jail, let this person come talk to you. If they have a policy where you need to provide the letter, then you need to provide the letter.
That's fine.
So until you have that letter, you and I will not be able to speak with one another?
I will contact the jail myself and find out if there's an exemption from pro se, or maybe they can speak to you directly to circumvent the actual letter itself.
Thank you.
See, I don't think this should happen in someone's defense. I don't care how batty she is. I don't care how guilty she is. All that aside, innocent until proven guilty, it seems like, I mean, yeah, she's been difficult. This is their job, right? This is their job, is to push trials through the legal system. This is their job as lawyers. This is their job as prosecutors. And this is their job as judges. I mean, if they can't handle Sarah Boone, you can't tell me she's been the most difficult client. I really see why she's frustrated and feeling hopeless.
Ma'am, do you have any other questions?
I don't think you have enough time. I'm just doing my best, and if you could please keep an eye out for my motions.
I will be on the lookout for them. You said there were 5, correct?
Yes.
I will
And
be
if
on-
you could please include me on the certificate of service for whatever hearings that we have that are no longer a surprise for me, please.
Understood. You'll be given a copy of the court's order that I read momentarily, and I will see you both on August 5 at 8:45 in the morning. All right, thank you all very much. Mr. Cacciatore, anything further, sir?
Nothing from the state.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Oh, wait, before you leave, that is all going to be yours. Yes, I would, sir, so that you can begin the digitization process. All right, I'll see you on the 5th.
I'll have you return your.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Yes. I'm just.
No, it doesn't seem fair. I mean, I think that that's just odd that they're being so hard on her. I mean, come on.
Yes, I would, sir, so that you can begin the digitization process. All right, I'll see you on the 5th.
I'll have you return your.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Watch your face. She's like, can we go? But can we go now? But no, I mean, for real, like, she's not, I mean, she seems frustrated, but she's not combative. She's not refusing to, go to court. She's not refusing to get out of her bunk. She's not refusing to walk with the guard. I mean, she's animated. She's annoyed. She's a little obnoxious. But other than that, I mean, they can't handle her. The mouth. Oh, is that what you're talking about? Her mouth movements? She's like, can we just keep going, ladies? Sarah. Oh, Sarah. Like, are you serious? Can I ask the news crews how they... I know, Siobhan. How many can they give her? I wonder what they're asking her. A ventriloquist doll? Diana.
I am here to help you learn.
Shut up, Amica.
Suitcase Sarah. I think her trial's supposed to start in October, too. I know, I can't hear it either. I wish I could. Good morning, Trixie. Harlot says, I would be annoyed too if I was sitting in jail for 4.5 years without a trial and then was being forced to represent myself, even though they can't provide proper discovery or notifications. Harlot, I agree with you. I mean, guilt aside or whatever, I don't think it's fair either. I feel like she's getting jacked around because she didn't make it easy on them. Like, she had problems with lawyers and such, and she didn't make it easy on them, so they're not going to make it easy on her. But to me, that doesn't seem fair when you got someone's life on the line here. Like, they've definitely got the upper hand. I don't think they need to make her life harder. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't dig that. I don't at all, because that kind of goes against this whole innocent until proven guilty thing too. I mean, Stephen Stearns sounds like meets with his lawyer, and I mean, I know she's been difficult. I'm just saying. Trying to find when her trial is. Do you guys know? I think it's October 7th. I know she said I'm thoroughly confused. So yeah, she's been there. This happened on February 25th of 2020. And she was 42 then. She's 46 years old now. Wait. I can't find the exact date, but October. So I wonder if she'll be getting more time once she gets, how's she going to be ready for a trial to represent herself in October when she doesn't even have discovery yet? She's aged very quickly. I agree. I mean, what do you guys think of that? She hasn't even gotten her discovery yet. I feel like she should have been able to be reading her discovery. Regina says, so much to unpack, no pun intended, when dealing with Sarah Boone's case. I think she's guilty as sin. However, she's still entitled to a fair trial and defense. And I agree they are jacking her around. I mean, just don't you think that she should have been able to read her discovery now in 4 years? She never got far enough with her attorneys to read discovery? It doesn't seem fair. 2 judges, 8 attorneys. October 7th. Thank you, Funsky. Yeah, there's no way she can be ready. Looking beyond gender harassment. While she is crazy and difficult, she may have went through so many lawyers because they're public defenders. They probably have so many cases and could care less about helping her. Right. I mean, how They're all getting paid from the same pot. Let's just put it that way. Karen thinks the Supreme Court will overturn any conviction. She lived her discovery. She shouldn't be able to read it. No, that's not how it works, though. That's not how it works. Okay, so you guys remember, do you guys remember when Jonathan Lee Riches did the not today? Do you remember these ladies from WTHR? I think this is them. Hang on. I'm pretty sure this is them. WTHR. Maybe not. It's Indiana. Never mind. Maybe it's not them. I thought it was them. They look like the same Karens.
You're being a Karen.
But watch this. This is them meeting Snoop Dogg at the Olympics. Maybe it's not the same two reporters. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But they're at the Olympics in Paris. And watch how they introduce seeing Snoop Dogg. These are some Karens.
It's Thursday night in Paris. It's the day before opening and everyone is finally arriving. We've got diplomats, athletes, families, fans, and celebrities.
That's right. You never know who you're going to see in the streets of Paris. In fact, we ran into someone pretty cool on the sidewalk. We're talking about Snoop Dogg. Are you kidding?
I know, we couldn't believe it. We looked over and we're like, is that him? And it was. He was taking photos with officers. In fact, he wanted to take the photos to say thank you for keeping me safe in Paris. And, you know, I thought, I'm going to go up and talk to him. I'm going to say, what does he think about his role? He's going to be carrying the torch in the final stages before opening. Here's what he had to say. Snoop, are you so excited?
I'm too excited. I'm so happy to be here, man.
Yeah? Tell us about all the things that you're looking forward to the most.
I'm looking forward to being with the people. See, I love the people of Paris. I love the athletes, the entertainers, the coaches.
What?
Just the whole experience. This is beautiful. I'm happy to be here. Wouldn't want to be nowhere, baby.
Tell me what you're going to be doing for opening tomorrow.
For opening? Running with the torch. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go get the torch right now. Thank y'all. Peace and love.
He was so gracious. I really appreciate how kind he was. So, you know, the torch left Greece in April, and then it's been in France, traveling all around the country since early May, and now the lighting of the cauldron set for tomorrow night.
Yes, and how cool that he gets to be a part of it. Did you see that outfit, by the way? He looks so good. He already looks great ahead of tomorrow's opening ceremony. And don't forget, Anne-Marie and I are going to join you live tomorrow morning on 13 Sunrise from Paris.
Anne-Marie. You think that's the same lady? Okay, so that's just to break up the monotony of this, but I want to show you who this Billy Lane is. This is the guy who is going to be handling the discovery and digitizing it. I just wanted to go over from their investigation site his bio. I never knew that courts used firms like this. That's really interesting. It's really interesting because I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't know this guy has any kind of bias or, you know, I mean, he's being paid by the state. I don't like it. Billy Lane is a retired career law enforcement detective with 20 years of a distinguished service. During his years of service as an undercover detective, Chief Lane gained valuable knowledge and experience conducting intense investigations, including narcotics trafficking, vice crimes, and criminal street gangs, on both the local and federal level. Chief Lane is well versed in both local and federal criminal investigations and is an expert in the field of covert, stationary, and mobile surveillance. In addition to numerous awards for his decorations, Chief Lane was the recipient of the coveted Detective of the Year for his investigative prowess. Chief Lane spent 9 years as a uniformed police officer and crime scene technician, where he responded to police calls for service. Chief Lane was promoted to detective, where he was assigned to the intelligence unit, investigating gang-related crimes. I think they might mean gang-related crimes, and eventually became a certified forensic computer examiner. with IACIS. Chief Lane spent the next 6 years as a CFCE, whatever that means, forensic, investigating child P, homicide, and other computer-related cases. Chief Lane was also a long-term member of multi-agency gang task force, where he worked in conjunction with other agencies to combat criminal street gang violence. Chief Lane completed his remaining 5 years of service working undercover in the narcotics unit, where he was tasked with writing search warrants and investigating narcotics violations. While in the narcotics unit, he was deputized as a federal task force officer with the United States Department of Homeland Security investigations, where he was tasked with working undercover, rescuing human trafficking victims, and also assisted the Homeland Security SRT team with federal search warrants. Chief Lane, this goes on and on, fucking Lane. Chief Lane was also attached to the Diplomatic Protection Detail while assigned to the intelligence unit, where he assisted on presidential protection details for George Bush and Barack Obama and other political dignitaries as both an intelligence officer and armed diplomatic protection agent. Dude, this sounds crooked as fuck. Since his separation from law enforcement, Chief Lane founded Prison Break Investigations and created a criminal defense-based private investigation agency that employs former law enforcement officers. Chief Lane has been a licensed private investigator since 2015, where he has worked criminal defense and specializes in covert surveillance. And then these are all his certifications. This is someone who went from protecting Obama and Bush, and now he's running this firm in Florida. Look at it. Look at Arial font. Nothing is professional about this website, in my opinion. Like, it's very sloppily put together. It's very basic. I wouldn't feel like this would be non-biased, to be honest. Cases that resulted in not guilty or charges dropped. So they do have a track record of helping defendants. I just don't see, with all that experience, how you can want to help a defendant after, that kind of a career. Isn't that weird? No, he's not a lawyer. He's ex-law enforcement. But why would he be interested in helping defendants when he's been on the other side his whole career? Puff, puff, pass, Captain Ganja. Yeah, isn't it? It looks like it was made in 1997. Case successes. What else do they have about us? Experts. We believe in the power of justice and strive to ensure that those wrongfully convicted receive a fair trial. Well, I can tell you, they don't think she's going to be wrongfully convicted. Imagine having your own crime scene expert providing plausible alternative theories that support the physical evidence for reasonable doubt, or a wiretap expert who wrote federal wiretaps for the DEA. Wonder how much they charge. We strive to make sure that those wrongfully accused get the justice they deserve. Strange. Criminal defense. Death penalty experience. This state has investigators. Why shouldn't you? Huh. Interesting what we're starting to see, peeking through. How much does the state pay? $65 or $125 an hour? I don't know. Will we ever be able to find out? Yes, if you haven't hit that like button, please hit it. Adrian, neither would I. Let's do a poll. Would you trust Lane? I mean, look at these photos. They're like, I don't know, man. I didn't know that this. Oof. That's scary, dude. That's an even fucking bigger reason to not commit crimes. Because this shit seems like it's all fucked up. I mean, I've always heard the justice system is fucked. But Prison Break Investigations has a due process contract authorizing due process payments through JAC. Very strange. The state would pay the maximum. Yep. Well, it almost seems like this is all set up like, okay, we've now retired, so we're going to work with the state. It's almost like it's all planned, contrived. Like they have a special contract with the state. Is there any competitors? I mean, Prison Break? Why would it be called that? That sounds so Temu. And it seems like all these things that we're starting to see, whether it's in the justice system, whether it's in politics, that all these things are not as professional and on the up and up as we've always imagined that they are. Maybe he just wants to peekaboo in the boxes. Maybe they're scared she's going to get in one if they give her boxes. I don't know. But that's it for Sarah Boone today. Anything else going on in the news? Let's see. Let's see if we've got any other things going on that we can talk about. I haven't seen anything crazy popping up. You'd want to hire JLR? Me too. I'd be like, will you be my investigator? For sure. I agree. Oh, we've got some new filings in Koberger that we're going to be going over. Maybe tomorrow we'll do that one. I think that was it. I think that was it, folks. So yeah, let's plan on reconvening tomorrow and going over these Koberger docs. And if you're not a subscriber of my other channel, please do subscribe over there. We'll be doing things periodically. But yeah, Brian Koberger wants a change of venue to Boise, which we all kind of figured was coming. I just don't feel like it's breaking news. We all knew he was going to be doing that. Chris Watt's latest letter. I did not read the whole thing, but I made a video about it. But let me get it up and let's read that Chris Watts letter because, whoops, Potato sent it to me. Hold on. Here it is. Oh, God, Watts' handwriting. I can't. I'm going to put my glasses on for this one. Okay, let's go over the full letter that was released that Chris Watts wrote in 2020 while he was in the clinker with Dylan Tallman. And if you missed it, we did read Dylan Tallman's book, part 1. We're going to be getting part 2. Now there's a part 3. Can I zoom in on this or no? God almighty. Okay, let's see. Thanks for being here, guys. If you could hit the like button, now's a good time to do it. Preview. There we go. Boop. All right. God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to even make this out. Give me a second here to get this up. Okay. CW needs to give timeline, says Mark Klein. I thought it said I have back stubbles. I thought that first sentence said I have back stubbles. I have backslidden. Okay, not funny. All right, guys, you ready? This is the Chris Watts letter. Christopher Watts, 5/9/20. This is page 4, so he just released one page. Dear Heavenly Father, I have backslidden. I am like a sheep gone astray from the flock, and have fallen into a something. The snare of the enemy has stripped me. Fuck, I can't even read this, y'all. I am like a sheep gone astray from the flock, and have fallen into a pit. The snare of the enemy has entrapped me. The words of a harlot has brought me low. Her flattering speech was like drips of honey that pierced my heart and soul. Her flattering speech was like drips of honey that pierced my heart and soul. Little did I know, all her something were in the chamber of death. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. How did I not see it? How did I let this happen? The blessings you have bestowed upon me were right in front of me, and I still followed the perfume of a strange woman. The web of the enemy squeezed around my heart and is something my soul to the part of suffocation. The enemy in his Jezebel mask. I can't fucking read this. And squeezes around my heart and is something my soul to the point of suffocation. The enemy and his Jezebel mock and scourge me as they celebrate another capture. But oh, that something would praise the Lord for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men. You, O Lord, did not leave me captive or condemned. You heard the prayer of the destitute and of the prisoner appointed to death. You opened my eyes. You made my ears ready to perceive. And you said, come forth. The web of death loosened its grip, and I walked into the light of your presence. As I humbly kneeled before you, you said, go and sin no more. Your faith has made you whole. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Okay. Now that I've kind of read that, we can talk through it for a second. So what he's saying is, oh, I didn't notice the blessings I had in front of me, but Lord, you made me see them. I mean, but let's be for real, Chris Watts. What really made you see what the blessings were that you had and how fucked you were was when you got caught and you got thrown in the clinker and you had to lose your little side piece. And then you realized, you know, what else do I have? I mean, let's face it. It's not like he's come clean and said, oh my God, this is what happened. You know, Nikki, oh my God, like we talked about this and, you know, da-da-da. He hasn't been honest about shit. Right, Sarah? Hi, Sarah. Dear Heavenly Father, I have backslidden. I am like a sheep gone astray from the flock and have fallen into a pit. The snare of the enemy has strapped me. Something. The words of a harlot has brought me low. The words of a harlot has brought me low. Her flattering speech was like drops of honey that pierced my heart and soul. Little did I know, all her guests were in the chamber of death. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. How did I not see it? How did I let this happen? The blessings you have bestowed upon me, you were right in front of me, and still I followed the perfume of a strange woman. The web of the many, I don't know what that word is, squares, something, squeezes. The web of the enemy. The web of the enemy. Who's the enemy, Watts? Because you know what? You were little Bella's hero. You were little Celeste's hero. So who's the enemy squeezing your damn heart? I'm out of coffee. The web of the enemy squeezes around my heart and is something my soul to the point of suffocation. The enemy and his Jezebel mock and scourge me as they celebrate another capture. Is the enemy and Jezebel? Is that Jim and Nicole? Jim and Nikki? The enemy and his Jezebel mock and scourge me as they celebrate another capture. But that something would praise the Lord for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men. You, O Lord, did not leave me captive or condemned. You heard the prayer of the destitute and of the prisoner appointed to death. You opened my eyes, you made my ears ready to perceive, and you said, come forth. The web of death loosened its grip, and I walked into the light of your presence. No, the web of death loosens its grip, and you walked into a jail cell. You said, go and sin no more. Your faith has made me whole. Regina, thank you for your super sticker. He's been reading Shakespeare, the Bible, and Edgar Allan Poe. Is that what that's a combo of? Oh, thanks for typing it. I don't know how y'all can read that. His handwriting's atrocious. I think I got most of it, though, didn't I? The snare of the enemy has entrapped me. The words of a harlot has brought me low. Her flattering speech was like drops of honey that pierced my heart and soul. Little did I know all her guests were in the chamber of death. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. How did I not see it? How did I let this happen? The blessings you have bestowed upon me were right in front of me, and I still followed the perfume of a strange woman. The web of the enemy squeezes around my heart and is cocooning my soul to the point of suffocation. The enemy and his Jezebel mock and scourge me as they celebrate another capture. But that man would praise the Lord for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men. You, O Lord, did not leave me captive or condemned. You heard the prayer of the destitute and the prisoner appointed to death. You opened my eyes. You made my ears ready to perceive, and you said, come forth. The web of death loosened its grip, and I walked into the light of your presence. As I humbly kneeled before you, you said, go and sin no more. Your faith has made you whole. In precious name, in Jesus' precious name, amen. Psalms 107:8, Proverbs 7:17, 23 and 27, John 11:43, and Luke 8:48. Thank you so much, Robin. who was it addressed to? These were writings that him and Dylan Tallman were writing for a book on scriptures, but it seems to me like he's telling his story through scriptures. I once knew a man from Nantucket. Had a dick. Samson and Delilah. He thought she was way hotter than she actually was. Well, I think she worked him. She knew how to work him. I wonder if Tallman's going to release more of those. Would you guys like to see an interview with Dylan Tallman on the channel? Put a 1 in chat, because I'm in conversations. Would you guys like to hear from Dylan Tallman and be able to ask some questions? I think it would be interesting. I think it'd be super interesting, actually. I'm willing to talk. I'm down for talking about anything and, you know, blaming his girlfriend for his fall from grace. A lot of you guys would like to hear from him. Cool. We'll have to get that set up. How many in the chat here are following the Sebastian Rogers case? I'm just curious. Oh, you know what? I did want to show you guys this video. Do you guys want to play one more video? This is interesting. So this story is out of Nashville. Hold on. And it features Heather Cohen, who was Seth's, whatchamacallit, private investigator for a hot minute. Remember Heather? Well, Heather is in this news report about this death row inmate that they're trying to get exonerated. And I thought you guys might find this interesting. She looks totally different than she did in any videos we saw her on Sebastian's case. It's wild. All right, hold on. This is going to tell you the story. So Gary Wayne Sutton has been on Tennessee's death row for decades. This is from WBIR Channel 10 in Knoxville. And they're saying that this guy's innocent and he's on death row there in Tennessee. Yeah, and Heather Cohen is like the private eye. Let me trim this down. I hate all that extra. I just don't like that look. Okay, here we go. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that.
32 years ago, investigators found the bodies of Tommy Griffin and Connie Branham. They also found a burned out car and a burned trailer. Decades later, the question remains, what happened? 10 News Blount County reporter Libby Cunningham spoke to the man convicted of killing them, and that man is serving time right now, Libby, on death row.
John, Gary Wayne Sutton's been on death row for nearly 3 decades. The group Justice for Gary Wayne Sutton says he didn't kill anyone. They're holding a press conference Friday morning to ask Governor Bill Lee to meet with them and to go over his case. For 28 years, Gary Sutton sat on Tennessee's death row. Jurors found him and his uncle, James Dellinger, guilty in the grisly murders of Tommy Griffin and Connie Branham. Dellinger died on death row, but Gary's been there for nearly 30 years.
Other than the fact that I didn't do this, this was my best friend that got killed. I think people, that gets lost with people.
A Blount County jury sent Gary Wayne Sutton to the electric chair in the late 90s. Tennessee isn't executing anybody right now, but once they start back up, he could be next. Gary tells me he didn't kill his best friend, Tommy Griffin, and he didn't kill Tommy's sister, Connie Branham, either. Heather Cohen, a private investigator from Nashville who's worked numerous high-profile cases, says she's tracked down key witnesses and jurors who don't think there's enough evidence to prove Gary killed anyone.
Barbara Gordon was one of the first witnesses that I spoke with. She was a key witness in the case.
You guys remember Heather? This is Heather Cohen from, what was the investigations? What's her company called? I can't remember, but she's the one that worked with Seth for a hot minute. Hi, Granny.
I mean, one of the first things she said to me was that she had lost sleep because she was not sure that the white truck that she saw that day was James Dillinger's, and she really felt like more or less they put words in her mouth.
The clock is ticking for Cohen and for Sutton, along with his loved ones who want Governor Bill Lee to sit down with them, hear them out, and exonerate Gary. The Tennessee Department of Correction wouldn't let me interview him in person, but said I could write him a letter and see if he calls back. Carolyn Miller and Sutton were dating when he got arrested, and they were together the night Tommy went missing. Miller is now leading the charge for Sutton's freedom.
We don't know exactly what we can do, what needs to be done. We just know that we need people to listen, we need his story out, and we need to show, we need people to know he is innocent. He did not kill Tommy.
Sutton's road to death row started here, along the Little River in Walland. That's where Tommy Griffin's body was found in 1992. The case went through Sevier County, where Sutton was convicted of killing Griffin's sister, and went in front of a Blount County jury, who sentenced him to the electric chair after returning a guilty verdict in Griffin's death. It all happened during a rare Sunday court session in 1996.
What I went through.
Sunday court session? Weird. Justice Warrior Investigations. Thank you, Sane. I couldn't remember the name. Granny, I got a bone to pick with you, girl. I waited all morning for you to go live yesterday. I was like, I want to get some stuff done, listen to Granny. And Granny never went live. What happened? Let us know when you're going live next.
All these years not having any lawyers that really cared enough to get in there and do anything.
There are a lot of moving parts in Sutton's case. He tells me that Sevier County's newspaper, the Mountain Press, covered Connie Branham's trial extensively. They did, and the story is told within these pages. Prosecutors built the case on the theory that James Dellinger and Sutton were fighting with Tommy before he died. The case moved ahead with that theory, and they say Connie died when she went looking for her brother. Gary and James were tried together.
There was definitely an obvious problem with the trial, starting with the fact that the DA had admitted in open court that they had no evidence on Gary, and that if they separated the trial between him and his uncle, that they would have to let him walk because they had nothing tying him to this.
Cohen says she thinks someone else killed Tommy and Connie based on her investigation, a man named Lester Johnson. She says Johnson has since died. Cohen says she's not exactly sure how Tommy and Connie were tied to Johnson, but they were to testify in an assault trial where he was a suspect. Connie and Tommy never showed up. Johnson walked. Here's what Johnson's girlfriend said happened next.
She ended up giving a statement that said that day she picked him up from jail and took him and dropped him off in Sevier County. And this is the day that Tommy went missing.
And of course, the victims and their family are important here too. Tommy and Connie's mother, Viola Davis, said this about whoever killed her kids in a 1992 interview with 10 News.
And I don't know how anybody could be so cruel and live in our community or society out here.
Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 here.
Even Tommy and Connie's brother, James Griffin, says someone fired bullets into his car after his siblings were killed.
The people that go out and kill anybody and burn them up and shoot anybody in the back of the head, it's sort of dangerous, isn't it?
Gary claims he's not bitter, but spending his life in a cinder block cell is a nightmare. Before hanging up, he tells me his story serves as a warning and a reminder.
I just like people to know that you can get here by being innocent.
Gary's story doesn't end here. There are questions Heather, Carolyn, and even some Tennessee lawmakers have about the evidence into that case. and we'll get into those in the next couple of weeks. The Tennessee Department of Correction told me there's no way to know when Gary's execution date is because none are on the books right now. Back to you.
All right, Libby, we'll continue to follow it. Thank you for your reporting.
Isn't that nuts? Do you guys trust this investigations? Do you guys trust her? Like, do you think she's legit? Sarah says, Granny's watching. You are going extreme on the fresh start. You're rocking it. I don't know what that means, but. What a wasted life. Yeah, he's not bitter. Yeah, I don't know, man. Is this like one ditch attempt to get him off death row or? All right, here's another disturbing report. This one is, listen to this. A man is alleging, this is in Chicago, that his mother's donated body was used in gruesome retaliation against an employee. They said she's numerous high profile. Which ones? Which ones? She has worked numerous high profile cases. Give me one. Lovey says, I'm not sure what to think. Siobhan says, I don't know. Hard to tell. I'm not sure. I think so. I don't know. I do think she'll get that man justice. If you don't know, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know exactly what her role is in these things, but here's this mother's donated body story. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do that, St. Outlaw. Like I said, she posts fake missing posts on Facebook that are easily identifiable as fake. If anything, not sure how skilled she is. Yeah, there's a lot of people that put fake missing peoples. That's a thing. That's a thing. I was just watching videos on that last night. I'll show you a video after this.
Well, the son of a woman who donated her body to science is now suing the company that handled her remains, alleging her severed head was used to retaliate against an employee.
Dane Blacko is here with details from this disturbing lawsuit. Dane?
Yeah, disturbing it is. Elaine Herman was 95 years old when she died back in 2020. Now, before her death, she made the decision to donate her body to medical research in the interest of advancing science. But her son says what happened to her body after her death is shocking and abhorrent.
I just thought somebody needs to be accountable. We can't just say, these things happen. No, these things don't happen.
Lauren Santow of Chicago says he was contacted out of the blue last year by a former employee of the Anatomical Gift Association of Illinois. That's the company that handled his mom's remains when she died 3 years earlier. That former employee, Dale Wheatley, had just gone public with appalling allegations about bodies intended for medical research instead being mishandled, abused, and allowed to rot. Wheatley also said someone at the association placed 3 dismembered human heads at his desk in what he believes was retaliation for his whistleblowing. Santow says Wheatley reached out to him to tell him that one of the heads was that of Santow's mother.
I just thought, how could this be? How could anybody permit this? And as soon as it happened, Dane, I thought, well, surely my phone's going to ring any minute, and the director of the AGA or the head of the board of directors, somebody's going to call and say, we're so sorry this happened, Mr. Santow. But nobody ever did.
Now, Santow has filed a lawsuit in Cook County Court against the Anatomical Gift Association, accusing it of negligence and causing emotional distress.
I hope that no other family is treated this way. I hope that AGA will revisit and revise their practices to ensure that this never happens again.
Awful. And they say, donate your body, donate your organs, donate your organs. Horrible. Horrible. Those heads. What is wrong with people? Okay, we're going to get into the fake missing persons posts. It's a thing, guys. Okay, let's start with we'll just start with this one. There's so many of them. Here, educating with Jay.
Police are warning of fake missing people posters going around Facebook. It's all part of an elaborate scam that thousands of people are falling for. CTV's Danton Unger joins us now live. So Danton, what are these scammers trying to accomplish?
Well, they're after your money or information, and they're using your friends on Facebook to get it. It may tug on your heartstrings, and you may be trying to help. But that's exactly what Facebook scammers are counting on.
This has been a question for an awful long time now, this idea of what is real and what is fake on the internet.
Facebook posts have started circulating showing apparent missing persons, asking everyone to share. The problem is, it may be a scam. Take this post, for example. It was shared to the Brandon Buy and Sell Facebook group. The poster says their 5-year-old daughter went out for a bike ride and hasn't returned. It says a silver alert has been activated and is asking people to share the post. Here's another one. This one, a missing 14-year-old girl who hasn't been seen for 48 hours. This one has 26,000 people sharing it. But Brandon police say the people in these posts don't exist, and the posts themselves are likely scams.
It's a bait and switch, essentially. So what these scammers are doing is they are putting out a post that pulls on the heartstrings of people, you know, be it a injured animal or a lost and hurt child. And with that, it gets a wide spread.
But what do scammers hope to accomplish with these posts?
On the surface, it seems to be a benign post.
David Gearhart, head of the University of Manitoba's Computer Science Department, says once you've shared the post and forgotten about it, the scammers will come back and change it.
Instead of a missing person, now it's a real estate opportunity or a multi-level marketing scheme or, you know, buy this Bitcoin or whatever it is. Some way to steal money or steal information or to hack an account, right? That's the scam.
So basically, missing people is one way to get people to share shit. It's a good way to get people to share. You can do it, I mean, you know, like they said, to, you know, eventually put something else in that viral post. Or, you know, maybe they want to get their name out there or something like that.
The problem is, not all Facebook posts about missing people are scams.
That's where this becomes insidious, because then people become nervous about sharing these things because they wonder if it's real or not.
Mm-hmm. Then it hurts the kids that are really missing because then you don't want to share it. Google the kid's name before you share it. Make sure it's legit. Here is another one. How to spot a fake missing persons post on social media. Check this out.
At 9, a post about a missing child and dog circulated on social media today around the country and here in our area. Now, tonight, we're on your side to explain that none of it was true.
Our Lauren Harkson is on your side with why these scammers would post such a thing and how you can avoid falling victim. Lauren.
That's right, Steve. Catherine, scammers are striking again, this time in a local Facebook group called What's Happening in Helena. Now, go ahead and take a look at your screen. This is the post in question. It says their son and their dog are both missing together. Some of the posts have...
Look at that. It says he's autistic. It says, help. My son, Braden Johnson, took off this morning with our dog, Hank. He is autistic and has been missing for 8 hours. If anyone sees him, please PM me. Please repost on any sites. I already contacted police.
Random hashtags also, like hashtag USA or hashtag Facebook, but they all have grammatical errors and are posted by brand new profiles. Helena Police Chief Brad Flynn says these posts are completely fake. He says criminals like to pull on people's heartstrings, hoping for shares. And once the post has spread like wildfire, the scammer can change the photos and the words to some kind of advertisement with a link, all without your knowledge, and that post remains on your profile.
You know, and if someone like an investigations Facebook wanted to make fake posts and share them, they could always change them later to make it look like they did something they didn't.
At that point, you are unknowingly sharing that scammer's information all the other times that it's been shared. And then on top of that, the link is usually fraudulent, so it's used to obtain personal and credit card information.
Chief Flynn says if a post looks suspicious, it probably is. And he adds if a child was missing in Helena, they would have posted it on their own Facebook page. And also, if you see any other post that is similar to that, maybe it has a lot of grammatical errors, or maybe the profile was made only a couple days ago on Facebook, maybe think twice before sharing that post. Live in Birmingham, Lauren.
It's scary. Let's see. Experts warn about... Oh, look at this is 17 hours ago. 17 hours ago, no views. We'll give them their first view.
While social media can be a powerful tool in locating missing people, it's also become a platform for scammers.
There's this thing that's been happening on Facebook involving fake posts about missing children, but what they're doing is they're using recycled photos. So how can you avoid these scams? Well, Donnie Tuggle's been looking into that. Donnie?
Yeah, guys, the rise of fake missing person posts is troubling, but there are ways to spot them and avoid falling for these scams. Here's what to watch for. These fraudulent posts are often shared in community Facebook groups. We blurred the faces to protect the children, but they're designed to generate widespread shares by tugging at heartstrings. Experts say one major red flag is that scammers frequently turn off the comments. These posts often include misleading details and are designed to go viral quickly before edited to scam content. I spoke with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children today about other red flags.
Make sure that there's a call to action. Is there a number attached to this? Is there appropriate, legitimate information about the child, where the child was missing, the child's name, all of that information? A lot of times people just see the picture and it says missing, and then they forward to their family and friends, and it just keeps going on and on and on.
Experts say if in doubt, check the pages of local agencies and news outlets. If you don't see it there, it's likely a scam. I spoke with the Amber Alert Network of the Brazos Valley about how these fake posts shift the focus from real children that need to be found. I'll have more on that tonight at 10, live in studio.
Good work. Good work. I mean, this is everywhere. Look at Mount Juliet police warn of fake missing person scams 9 days ago.
And the North Platte Police Department has a warning about fake missing person posts circulating on social media. You may have seen these posts that tag at your heartstrings on Facebook, but according to local police, they're fake. That's why police urge the public to do their research before sharing these posts, due to many times they're an attempt to gather your personal information and hack your computer devices. They also advise staying up to date with local law enforcement agencies on current missing person reports.
I mean, how sick. 6 months ago, what you need to know about an online missing person scam. Scammers preying on compassion through fake posts. Former FBI agent warns of fake missing social media posts. 11 months ago. Hackers, oh, that's not it. AARP warns of fake missing person scams circulating online. I mean, it's just crazy. Look at this. Facebook post about missing Harrisburg boy is fake. Louisville, Kentucky.
Now here at 6, if you happen to be scrolling on Facebook tonight and you see a photo of a missing child, you might share it, thinking you're helping in any way you can. But as it turns out, some of those posts are fake. This post has been shared hundreds of times. A mom says her child left for his first day of school and never returned, but as you can see, same post, same picture posted from different accounts. WHS 11's Taylor Woods looks into what scammers gain every time you press share.
This Tyler Griffin missing kid post that's surfacing across social media is a scam, and experts say it's a way for scammers to track your personal information. You've probably seen this post on social media. It's being shared all across the country, and now it's made its way to Louisville. A mom sharing a post that references a child named Tyler Griffin, along with a picture of an elementary school-age boy and a description of him.
Look at the post itself. Compare the photo of the child to the description.
We noticed some discrepancies. There's no mention of the school he attends or what grade he's in, not even his age. Experts say vague information like this is how scammers catch your attention.
They can even retroactively steal your information once you've shared a post.
Experts believe malware is shared each time the post is shared. This is a way scammers track your personal information.
Unfortunately, they're just looking to get your information, whether it's your personal or financial information. So you just really want to be cautious.
And with the holidays around the corners.
So yeah, I mean, this is a thing. It's been going on for years, but they have been warning lately, more about it too. 10 months ago. Oh, wow. Check this out. 14 hours ago.
On Fox, investigators are encouraged by what they are finding in their
St. Louis
search for Gina Dawn Brooks.
Fox 2 first told you about the new cold case search in Bollinger County tied to the 1989 mysterious disappearance of the 13-year-old Fredericktown girl. Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes returned to the scene.
We began our day in Fredericktown, the very street where Gina Dawn Brooks lived in August 1989. Here on College Avenue, where the first 4 people I spoke to said they know her family, including Melissa Jordan.
It's been a long time, very sad situation. I actually grew up with Gina and her brothers and sisters, so I do feel for them, and I just hope they get the answers that they deserve.
Heath's Mobile Kitchen is right on the route of where 13-year-old Brooks was last seen riding her bike that August day.
I'm hoping they find her body and the family can have relief.
It's been more than 30 years since the disappearance that stunned this town of 4,000 people, as witness accounts seem to indicate Brooks was kidnapped. Witnesses reported seeing her outside this Baptist church here on College, just a couple blocks from her home, where it's described she was confronted by people inside a battered station wagon. She reportedly continued riding a few more blocks on College down to High Street, where she was heard screaming for help as the station wagon drove away. Nathan Danny Williams was suspected in Brooks' disappearance, but never convicted. He's currently serving a life sentence for raping a 10-year-old girl in St. Louis's Belle Reve Park. Fredericktown residents have been very interested in the new reported search for Brooks 15 miles from town in a small area called Marquardt. Fox 2 was the first to report on that search, with video from Bomarito Automotive Group Skyfox showing the areas being dug up. Agencies involved include the Missouri Attorney General's Office, Highway Patrol, FBI, and the Bollinger County Sheriff's Office. Thursday, authorities announced finding items of interest that have been sent to the crime lab. Highway Patrol adding the items did not include human remains. We've now learned that operation this week included Department of Corrections transport of who appeared to be a prisoner Wednesday, seen in prison garb, walking around the 120-acre site with investigators.
Wow.
We asked DOC who was transported and were told it was a Missouri State Highway Patrol operation, and we're waiting for Patrol's response. The current owner here is not the target of this investigation, as this property has changed hands several times since '89. It's currently being used as a hunting property, with law enforcement's heavy machinery remaining at the site now 4 full days after detectives first broke ground.
Wow. So they saw a prisoner out there from the sky that was showing them. Oh, oh my God, Jay, I'm covering her case. I talked to the lead detective on her case. They are investigating a new lead. That's awesome, Regina. I've never heard of that. I mean, what great news that they may get some answers. So, Satan, this one's for you. You said you never saw Tracy from Justice Warrior. Justice Warriors. They were guests back on... Wait, where's Tracy? She was on here. That's not Tracy. I thought Tracy was on this one, or did Tracy go on Web Sleuths? Have you guys ever seen this? Heather Cohen on Surviving the Survivor? I could have sworn Tracy joined this one. Was she on here twice? This is April 11th, 2024.
Who was part of a high-profile investigation, and law enforcement in that Sumner County Sheriff's Office and
in the night, so on and so forth. And
this law enforcement agent contacted me unofficially and asked if there was foul play involved here, what might it look like, or how would you look at it? So
who's this guy?
In saying that, I hope that Sumner County Sheriff's Office and TBI are running concurrent investigations here, especially after 46 days.
We welcome in now Heather Cohen. I introed you, Heather, so everyone knows who you are. Were you actually out searching today for Sebastian? Have you been actively searching for him?
no, I actually have not. I had some people reach out and ask me to get involved, but I don't like to do that until I've been invited by either law enforcement or a family member.
And just tell us a little bit about your back. I read your bio, so people know you have your podcast, and we'll of course
think she was on here
plug that again for you. But tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this line of work, and what do you do exactly?
Okay, well, I actually got involved with PI work because I started volunteering in missing person cases. I was the Tennessee state coordinator for the Q Center for Missing Persons. And I had gotten involved in a few different cases along the way, Holly Bobo being the first one, the first really big one, hit the ground running with that and jumped all the way in, dove in, from beginning to end. I think it was 4 or 5 years that I invested in that case. And Devin Bond was another one. I think I mentioned to you that this case reminds me a lot of Devin Bond. I hate to say that, it breaks my heart because I don't know if you guys know the outcome of the Devin Bond case.
No, tell us, give us like a headline encapsulated Devin Bond story.
Well,
Heidi is also one of the world.
All right, let's get to where she talks about Sebastian.
I'll say persons of interest since the beginning. Persons of interest.
Hold on.
And maybe dropped it off. These kinds of questions were actually asked about Brian Kohberger, which, by the way, we're covering tomorrow with Scott Phil. There's a lot of movement in that case. But these questions were asked of Brian Kohberger in regards to the murder weapon when he drove from Washington State back to his home in Pennsylvania. But Doug, the floor is yours for this question. Before you answer, though, Shari's News says it would be great to see Doug in Toronto. You guys could do a mini podcast with
I'm going to grab some coffee. I'll
audience.
BRB.
We sure could, but no pressure, Doug. Go ahead.
The TBI and law enforcement in general, they've been tracking they've been analyzing digital evidence and tracking the phone activity of, I'll say, persons of interest since the beginning. Persons of interest, we can, imagine who that might include. And then there's probably additional ones that law enforcement knows of as well. And we know this because the press release that the TBI put out on March 15th already said that they were already doing that. The other reason I know that they're tracking phones is because of where the search started. So the ground zero for the search has been 1008 Stafford Court, their home address. That's not the place last seen, other than his mother. Okay, so assuming his mother is a person of interest, you're not necessarily going to start the search there unless you have evidence that he was there. So the place last seen, and where I'm going with this is the place last seen, from public information that I could find, is that law enforcement saw Sebastian entering his vehicle after leaving Texas Roadhouse. So that is the place last seen in the public eye, other than the mother, right? So in order to place him at his house, they have to track the phone from Texas Roadhouse to his house, directly to there. If there were any stops along the way, that might change the last place that he was alive. So in my opinion, that's likely what they did, placing him at his house as the last known position. The place last seen, other than his mother, is still Texas Roadhouse getting into the vehicle. Now, they've likely done the same thing with several persons of interest, which may also...
Douglas McGregor? Is that what that says? Geographic profiler? What's a geographic profiler? Does anybody know?
Will include the grandparents. And again, tracking their phones. Vehicles are harder to track. Depends what type of vehicle you have, but vehicles are harder to track. But phones, definitely. And they've tracked those phones from their home up to Alaska. You know, if they are persons of interest, they probably checked with Canadian Border Security to see if they picked up anything at the border.
Talking about
certain locations. So let's say 300 yards around.
The young boy that everyone is looking for here, Sebastian
Guy's
Rogers,
like,
15 years old. Again, you want to send tips to 1-800-TBI-FIND, 1-800-TBI-FIND. I brought this comment up. We've had him on the show. He is a best guest. Peter Hyde is also one of the world's best-known statement analysis.
This is not the one I saw.
I feel like, you know, as a mother of a teen who is on the spectrum, I don't really feel like that's
who's that? So
terribly out of the realm of possibility that he would have roamed off.
Kels, it does.
You know, I mentioned to you in the email that one of the reasons I had not taken on this case or even really tried to volunteer myself at this point was because it was so close to home that it's difficult for me to separate.
But she took the case when Seth paid her, right? She didn't want to volunteer to take it, but she took it because remember, Seth paid her a little bit.
You know, my own personal experiences, and, you know, sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes that can be a bad thing. But I feel like, you know, and I'll go back to this, if Sebastian was dealing with being bullied at school, if, you know, again, and I see a comment from Deborah, that's another thing I was thinking about too, that, you know, then there's the factor of potentially being molested and potentially being abused and bullied at home as well. That's a lot. That's a lot for an autistic child. It's a lot for any child.
But, okay, why is she putting this shit out in the orbit? Why?
But I feel like if there were all these factors and things going on, and then there's also bring in who did he have, what platforms did he have access to? You know, if he had a VR, he could have been having conversations with people that we really don't even know, conversations that maybe potentially there wouldn't even be any record of. As a mother of a teen who is on the spectrum, I know that he is very awkward in public, but is incredibly sociable and able to connect online. So he may have made connections with people online and nefarious people. So there is that as well. Those are the two theories I'm running with right now, just because with the lack of information, I don't want to speculate that. I tend to go kind of against the grain anyway, but I don't want to speculate that the parents had anything to do with that. For me, at this point, it's just not fathomable.
And it looks like Courtney dropped out. I think she's on a phone. She's got here. She is. She's coming back. I can see her here. I'm going to give her a split second to come back on. There she is. You hearing us okay, Courtney?
I am. I'm so sorry. It has been a crazy weather day here. So our power is out. We're trying.
Yeah, no worries at all. I was just going to pick up where Heather left off, which was there are reports out there now that he was being bullied at home, I guess, which is another word for abused, if you want to look at it that way. There are even photos of him now driving a tractor around.
This is very irresponsible, in my opinion. The shit they're saying. This is April 11th.
Property. So I'm just curious, you know, you're the expert here really on autism, and Heather has a child who she says is on the autism spectrum. But Courtney, to you, if in fact these reports are true, we have not.
And she's yet another one that has another autistic child. The PI also has an autistic child.
Verified this, but if he is being bullied at home, what does that do to a young child who's on the spectrum?
It does a lot to any child, whether they're neurodiverse or neurotypical, but especially when a child is autistic, they have some degree of deficit in social skills. Their interpretation of the situation and what is acceptable and unacceptable, that's really, really hard. Communication, if
different avenues to look into. And then I would also look into every single person of interest that I know about, and that if
he sounds Canadian.
Then you've got Keep Up the Chatter. We know by Chris Proudfoot's own words that he was hit with a belt, most likely more than once. And we also know Sebastian was sad, I guess. But some people might not find that abusive. In my book, that's certainly abusive. I don't do that to my children. I don't think it should be done to any kids. You get smacked with a belt buckle. Courtney, just wondering, since the last time we talked, if you've had any more thoughts about this, if he was being abused regularly, and that is an if.
I mean, this guy used to be a reporter. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of this channel anymore. I was in the beginning, but the more I listen to him, the more crass he is, the more he doesn't know the facts of the cases. He just wings it, and he has his wife kind of pick up the slack in the chat and shit. I don't like them, but I just think this is extremely out of line.
If he was being abused regularly, how do you think this would play on his psyche, considering, his autism diagnosis?
I would be super curious to know who, outside of his family, he had connections with for several reasons. But if he had abuse within the home, was he talking to anyone about this? My mind goes to, I would hope that he has some sort of outlet, whether it was a friend. We know he played video games. So was he talking in chats on video games? And maybe he could have expressed something that way. Without knowing him specifically and his communication deficits, I'm not sure if he had that outlet. But regardless, being abused in any way.
He's very inappropriate, Mrs. Smith. You know what he said? This is what totally turned me off. He compared Madeline Soto being in the car deceased with Stephen Stearns to Weekend at Bernie's. Did you hear me? He compared Madeline Soto deceased in the car being driven around by her abuser and her killer, Stephen Stearns, to Weekend at Bernie's. That's why I don't watch him anymore.
And that situation is awful.
Yet another man who disrespected Madeline Soto after death. He's on the list. These men have no fucking clue. None.
But he could be internally processing escape, avoidance. How do I get away from this scenario? How can I avoid that scenario from happening again? And if he doesn't have a proper outlet or somebody he can communicate with, it could be misinterpreted, and that could lead to him leaving in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that stormy weather down in Atlanta, I can hear it and feel it. The stepfather, no, it's all good. From Deborah Hillman, the stepfather was supposedly mocking him for wearing pull-ups. Again, this is a report that came out. Danielle K is saying, no disrespect to the.
Listen to him saying this is a report that came out. No report, no official report came out that he was wearing pull-ups. Oh, that's a report that came out. No, it's not. He doesn't even know his sources. He's so irresponsible. I'm sorry, but he is.
Channel, so sick of hearing excuses for these parents that apparently lack. I don't think anyone here has made a single excuse about these parents. If anything, it's the exact opposite. I'm not sure what you're watching, but what about this notion that perhaps he was mocking young Sebastian for wearing these pull-ups?
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's,
Courtney,
I mean, that's, yeah, sorry, I can hear you just fine. It's just unacceptable on all levels. We want to promote strength and growth in our children, and by mocking them, that's doing nothing to help him improve if they are working on potty training. And it's very normal for kids of all ages to have bedwetting accidents and need nighttime pull-ups, especially if you're in an abusive situation. We know that can increase bedwetting. So that's not surprising at all. It can make that situation way worse.
Back to the TBI. Oh,
this is hashtag best guess.
The Sumner County Sheriff's, I apologize, Eric Craddock. And Heather, to you, he said, we have not cleared anyone, but we have no evidence of foul play. He went on to say that there are theories at play. And then District Attorney Ray Whitley in that county, in Sumner County, says that there needs to be something more. Physical evidence, blood, Sebastian's clothing, a flashlight, security video, or an eyewitness implicating someone. But none of that has been.
When did the DA say that? Wait, when did the DA say that they needed a flashlight and all this? The DA I never heard the DA say this. Have you?
Theories at play. And then District Attorney Ray Whitley in that county, in Sumner County, says that there needs to be something more. Physical evidence, blood, Sebastian's clothing, a flashlight, security video, or an eyewitness implicating someone. But none of that has been found.
Where did he get that statement from the DA?
if you want to speak to that. And then I just wanted to circle back to Doug's earlier comment, Heather, that Chris was allegedly in Memphis. It's a 3-hour and 37-minute drive, but there is a possibility he could have, in the darkness of night, gone and come back. Have you pondered that? Have you thought about that?
I have. And in preparation for the podcast, I did go through and watch several videos, including Nancy Grace. So I'm aware of some of the comments that people have made. And I do agree that his statements, there are some things, some red flags in his statements that are concerning. But as Ray had said, there's nothing found. There really is no evidence. So we really can't jump to that conclusion. And I think that, how many people have been in a situation like this? It's easy for us to sit back and say, oh, well, they said this wrong or they did this wrong. But how do you really act when your child is missing and when you're under a microscope? So I don't know. He was very specific about the 3 hours and 37 minutes. And I was just kind of like, that's weird, that he would be so specific like that, almost as if, it was planned out. If that was the case, obviously that would insinuate that it was a premeditated thing and, plan this trip, yada, yada. And I can see why people would think that. But at this point, with there being no evidence about that, Doug was talking about the things that could kind of turn it into a criminal investigation. And I was thinking in my mind about something else too, that I'd seen in past cases where, and I can't remember which one specifically I was thinking of, but where they find that the parents or whoever are misleading law enforcement. So if they could find, if there was something that they knew that they had been directly and deliberately misled, then they could start looking at it as a criminal and start looking at bringing charges.
Yeah, time is going to tell.
Okay, well, I haven't seen any inconsistencies from the Proudfoots, to be honest. They've always said the same thing, but Seth has had several inconsistent stories, right?
That one, they're paralleled in some ways and completely different others, but we've got these two missing mothers in Oklahoma. And in that case, there's a lot more sort of subtle evidence, if you will, that people are responsible for that crime, but still no action has been taken there. So sometimes it takes a while. I think we're going to see movement in that case much sooner possibly than this case. Matthew McMahon is not just anybody. He shares a child with Rachel Morin, and Rachel Morin is his child, Faye, who's 18 years old. Rachel Morin was murdered.
So he's got Rachel Morin's ex-husband, Matthew McMahon. We were just talking about Rachel Morin.
Back on August 6th. She was discovered August 6th, I believe. It has been way too long. Doug McGregor has personally helped out on this case pro bono, and we've got to get Rachel's name back out there.
Meanwhile, the moderator says, be mindful. There are parents here with children and loved ones with autism. So word your thoughts with that in mind. Thanks, STS fam. As he's sitting here talking about Sebastian and his pull-ups. Fuck you.
Reached out to Matt today. There's actually a commercial that was put out, and I didn't realize it, but Matt and others did not sign off on it. And it just goes to show you that things can get very complicated in many different ways after a tragedy. But the important thing here is to keep Rachel Morin's name out there, and we will circle back with Matt, no doubt, and we'll get Doug back on the show. We've got to find her killer. There was a DNA match, but no ID, because the same suspect was found to have committed a crime in Los Angeles. So we will definitely get back.
Vast majority. All right. And we as a community have probably completely ruined the possibility of that happening. We've been highlighting the trauma in his past, and, some of that the parents brought up, and they're welcome to talk about whatever they like. It's their child if they think it can help. But we keep bringing it up in the media, the trauma in his past, the thing with the pull-ups, and autistic children. I've known a lot of autistic children in my lifetime. Courtney is an expert on this. They have a hard enough time fitting in, making friends. They're likely bullied. And now we expect him to come home and go back to school with everybody knowing this information. That's not going to happen. I've known kids that have moved schools or have contemplated and hurted themselves for far, far less. So it is so hard now for Sebastian. It could be, I'm not going to speak for him, but it could be very difficult in his mind to assimilate back into his community and have these things go away. That's not going to happen. So that is, in my opinion, off the table. He's not coming back on his own free will. All right. So we have to, the investigation has to, find him, hopefully alive, and hopefully healthy, but if not, they have to continue to pursue leads in other avenues, foul play or whatnot.
Yeah. Courtney, that brings up a sad question to ask, but is there any kids who are on this autism spectrum, do they have a higher rate of unaliving themselves than a typical child?
Yes. I don't know the exact statistic, but yes.
What kind of question is that, really? Is there statistics on this, really?
They do. And that's exactly contributed to what he was just saying is the perspective taking, the understanding, the social skills, the bullying, feeling ostracized, feeling the inability to be your true self and having to, we call it masking, covering your symptoms of autism essentially and trying to fit into what's normal. And it's exhausting and it's hard and that's tough on anyone, especially an adolescent. And so that risk is increased tremendously.
I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. I got a couple of, you know what, let me ask you this before I forget it, because this is a really important question, I think. I'm so fearful that my own kids, who thankfully are very healthy and wild kids with big personalities, I'm fearful that one day, they're going to bully someone or say something stupid. So every day when I drop them off, I read them the riot act, be nice to everyone, treat kids all the same, treat the custodian like the principal. I go through a whole list of things. What can parents say to their children
they're
who
using
are not on the autism spectrum?
They're using look at his elf ear. They're using the altered picture too.
To be respectful of those who are, since they are different, they're young, and they might not know how to behave in front of them. What is your suggestion on that?
I love that question. I think that is tremendous as a parent to be able to preach inclusion and acceptance. For my own kids, I'm always telling them, find the kid who's by themselves at lunch and go sit with them. Find the kid on the playground who doesn't have anyone to play with. Invite them to play. With autistic individuals, there's a chance that they want to be included. They want to play, but they don't know how. And so stressing just that simple kindness and the ability to branch out, look past what everyone else in your group is doing and saying, and look for the ones who are alone and might want an opportunity they're not getting.
Well said. And I'm gonna use that about if they find the kid who's sitting alone. I'm going to use. I'm learning a lot from these people on Surviving the Survivor, so it's coming in handy in my own life.
So you've never realized, Joel, until now, at this point in your life, not to be a dick? You've never realized until now that you should be kind to people? Because you're still inappropriate and you don't have any compassion for victims.
Here, Marlena Cantu, question for Heather: why aren't Katie and Chris Proudfoot, the biological mother and stepfather for Sebastian, why aren't they looking for something or someone right now? Why aren't they out there actively doing this? And not only that, they moved away. Your thoughts on this?
Well, it is a really good question.
They are Katie Proudfoot, Sebastian Rogers, and Chris Proudfoot. Those are the hashtags.
I mean, I know that as a mother, I don't think I would sleep. I think I would be out there looking 24/7. And I don't know. I don't know this woman. I don't know anything about her. So I don't know what to make of that, really. I don't have a good answer for you. It's definitely a red flag. But you're right. Like, if they don't believe he's out there somewhere to be found, then they're not going to be looking for him. So, maybe they think somebody has him, which I think I've heard them actually say.
What?
That's the best guess I've got for you. I wish I was psychic, but I'm just a PI.
I'm just a PI. She said that she heard them say someone had him. What? This is April 11th.
Would be out there looking 24/7. And I don't know. I don't know this woman. I don't know anything about her. So I don't know what to make of that, really. I don't have a good answer for you. It's definitely a red flag. But you're right. Like, if they don't believe he's out there somewhere to be found, then they're not going to be looking for him. So, maybe they think somebody has him, which I think I've heard them actually say.
No, they didn't. No one ever said, we think somebody has him. Wow. When did Seth say that, though? Before April 11th? Because I don't think so. He just said, if someone has him, drop him off.
That's the best guess I've got for you. I wish I was psychic, but I'm just a PI. Sorry.
You can only answer what you can answer. I appreciate it. So Doug, obviously there's been a lot of community involvement here, people handing out flyers, but they're also conducting their own searches. Is that a problem for you? You know, if you're on scene somewhere, do you want, quote unquote, just the professionals handling it? Or are you okay with this sort of crowdsourcing community help?
The help can be great. Searches have to be coordinated. They have to be organized properly, or they can often hurt the investigation even more. Oftentimes it's better to have 10 good searchers than 100 volunteers.
But why is a private investigator who's talking to Chris Proudfoot on the side talking about what they discussed on an open panel during an active investigation? And no wonder the cops wouldn't fucking work with her. This is why the cops wouldn't work with her. This is why the cops won't talk to Seth.
The public that aren't coordinated. I'm not search and rescue. I work with search and rescue, but search and rescue are very good. At least the legit search and rescue groups are very good at coordinating searches, probability mapping, giving individuals assigned tasks, telling them exactly what to look for. You're not just looking for Sebastian. You're looking for Sebastian and everything that he had on him when he went missing, for example. And then these people report back. They're given. Some of them are given different tasks, whether metal detectors or whatnot. They're told exactly where to look and how to look. But if you just have people going out and searching, to what end, right? I mean, if I come back and say, I searched that farm over there, what does that mean? Does that mean I searched everywhere in the hayfield, every inch of that barn, underneath the floorboards? Like, what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing to the people trying to organize the official searches. So you have the law enforcement that generally do their thing, and they will search based on leads. They will search and rescue. Law enforcement will do their initial search of the last known position, the place last seen, and then they will conduct searches in other areas based on leads, whether it's from digital evidence or whether it's from an eyewitness, whatever it may be. And then generally speaking, you have the volunteer search, which is completely separate, and you have somebody organizing that. And I've seen volunteer searches that are very organized and fairly well done. I won't say very well done, but fairly well done. And then I've seen others that are absolute chaos. The people mean well. They do, for the most part, but it's when it comes down to law enforcement and the official search and rescue units giving their reports and analysis, disorganized volunteer searches, in my experience, rarely get factored into that because they don't know what they've done and to what quality.
Nikki Cuds, who has a child on the autism spectrum, my son always wanted to be included.
So in other words, he's saying that these searches that are unorganized are basically fruitless, in my opinion. Is that what you guys are getting from this? Like, if he's just got searchers roaming around, like Terry Lynn's been roaming around for 5 months, he's saying they don't know where they've been. In other words, you're spinning your damn wheels with unorganized searches.
That's all he wanted. So it could be something as simple as that. Kind of breaks my heart to hear that. This is a quote from Seth Rogers, of course. And this, of course, is Sebastian's
coming through.
father, Seth Rogers. You guys are Sebastian's army. We will find him. We will find him alive. We will find him well. Let us hope that is in fact the case. Heather, back to you. I was going to ask you. It takes a second for this thing to pop back into position, but Doug was talking about useful searches versus unuseful searches. But what makes a good searcher? Are there qualities that make someone a good searcher?
Let's hear this.
Well, first and foremost, I guess determination, and I mean sometimes it can be really strenuous, conditions. It can be really hot. It can, when we searched for Holly Bobo in the Natchez Trace, the trees and all the brush was so thick. I mean, you couldn't see.
They searched for Holly Bobo in Natchez Trace. And that's where frickin' Seth was with JLR on March 22nd. Natchez Trace State Park. What the fuck is going on here? That's bizarre. And that's where Seth says, I don't know, someone dropped my son off here. There's no cameras. What the freak?
Termination. And I mean, sometimes, you know, it can be really strenuous, you know, conditions. It can be really hot. It can, you know, when we searched for Holly Bobo and the Natchez Trace, the trees and all the brush was so thick. I mean, you couldn't see. Somebody could be 2 feet in front of you. You wouldn't see them. That's how much was in front of you. We had to go through with, you know, the machetes and cut all that down just to get through. You come out with ticks. It is, I mean, it is not fun. It is not glamorous. You have to really be dedicated. But like Doug was saying, you know, honestly, having 100 searchers out there just trampling on what could be a crime scene can often do more damage and could actually lose evidence. So you think, you know, the more people, the merrier, and that's not really always the case.
This is a statement that Katie Prepfoot put out a little while ago. They didn't speak initially, then they talked, and then were kind of silent. And here's the statement. Some of you may have heard this from Katie Prepfoot, Sebastian's biological mother. Unfortunately, with no new legitimate leads, our statement remains the same. We are trying to get his face out there to everyone because I think the more people know and search, the better chance we have of finding him. We do appreciate the support from the neighborhood and community. We want to let the community know that we don't have words to express our gratitude for the support we have received in searching for our son, and we pray that everyone continues to help search and pray that we find him and bring him home safe. The pain of our son's absence is beyond words. We ask that everyone everywhere remain aware and continue to look for anything that can help us find Sebastian and bring him home. The only problem with this statement, Courtney, is they themselves aren't searching. They use the word search a gazillion times in this statement. Psychologically speaking, what do you make of that?
I find it really odd. It's hard. It's very hard as a mother, especially for me to predict how I would act. I know that I would be out there until that child was brought home. I would keep searching until there was a reason not to search anymore. For them to not physically be out there searching, I'm not sure even why that could be unless she was told not to get involved. But we see Mr. Rogers, Seth Rogers out there searching physically, boots on the ground. So nobody's told him not to. So there's a big contrast in my mind. I'm not sure why she wouldn't be.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to tell you why she wouldn't be searching Miss Mom. Because law enforcement doesn't want a mother to find her deceased son's body. I mean, are these people that dumb? I know everybody says, oh, you wouldn't, you know, wild horses couldn't drag me away. But the last thing they want is for a parent to find their deceased child. They don't want you. They don't want that. And not one of these people says that. I'm not sure why she wouldn't be searching.
Be involved.
By the way, tomorrow, special time with Phil and Scott. We do it every Friday. A show so good it happens every week. And that is Great Scott, your true crime Phil, with America's most respected detective Phil Waters and the FBI Scott Duffy. And we're going to be looking at Brian Koberger. A lot going on in that case. 11 a.m. tomorrow. Next week, we're going to stay on this case. We're also going to follow the missing moms who went missing in Oklahoma. I feel like that's going to break very soon. There's going to be some. There's going to be
the devil's coming through. Thank you, Kels.
And COE and Space Coast, just for your own enjoyment. My audio is starting to get whacked out here a little bit. Keeps going off on me. Yeah. So just a little insight just into my demons. Own suffering here. One of the things, Doug, that's going on is the sheriff is literally asking people in Sumner County, like you just said, like it's one thing to search, but are you looking under floorboards? And he put out this ask to everyone to really search twice a day your property and to really search it. Look under the decks. Look, under around corners, in garages, behind walls in your garage. What is the point of this at this juncture, that someone will suddenly find something?
Yeah, it's a smart move for a couple of reasons. One, we all, generally speaking, we know our own properties better than anybody else. So we know all the little nooks and crannies. Two, it cuts through a lot of red tape because now you don't have to ask permission to go onto private property. So it helps with that. It avoids dangerous conflict of people going onto other people's private property.
Wait, what did he say about private property? I'm sorry, we kind of derailed the whole live, but thanks for being here and thanks for sticking around. This is interesting.
Permission to go onto private property. So it helps with that.
2 months.
It avoids dangerous conflict of people going onto other people's private property that don't want them there. So there's a lot of benefits to doing that. At the same time, there's no confirmation that anything has been searched, right? Unless you have every single person reporting back into you that they've searched their property twice a day. So it's just another measure they're taking. But the only feedback they're likely going to get is if somebody finds something useful. But I think it is important. Sumner County.
Yeah, why would they want parents who haven't been cleared to be out there looking? Regina, look where they just found Caleb Harris. They need to search everywhere. We just learned, did we not?
County Sheriff's Office, I'm not sure. To my knowledge, they still have the lead on this investigation. I'm not sure how much experience they have with this type of investigation. They may have a lot, but I am happy to see that they are working alongside the TBI and other agencies.
Yeah, and Heather, the thing that makes this so incredibly difficult, look at this comment. This child could be stuck in a chimney or in the water. That's if you left the house. And then you follow that by Lindsay Shea, who's always in the chat, and happy to see her here. A boy was just rescued from a chimney yesterday down the street from me. You never know where he could be. This is truly, Heather, like finding a needle in a haystack. I mean, you're looking for a 15-year-old boy in all of America, and that could include Alaska for all we know. I mean, this is like a really daunting task. You're a PI. How do you keep yourself from being defeated?
Well, I mean, it's definitely difficult. Cases like this, it could be 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, or I hate to say it, or never. I mean, there are some people that are never found. So it's just, we just keep praying and keep hoping and keep doing everything we can and hope that this isn't one of those cases that he is somewhere where he can actually be found.
Courtney,
I keep thinking about that one neighbor they talked to on the news, and she talked about the new culverts that they were putting in at that time. That bothers me.
Lasky has somewhere to be right at the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful of that. Courtney, just wondering, sadly, we had you here. He wasn't found. We had you back. He's still not found. Hopefully the next time we have you on, he'll be back safe and sound. But just your final thoughts today before you have to take off on us.
Yes, this case is so heartbreaking. With every day that goes by and he's still not found, there's still no new evidence being revealed. I'm hoping that there's evidence behind the scenes that we're not seeing. I really hope that so they've got leads somewhere. I'm wishing nothing but the best, but with every day that passes, it's really hard to understand where he might be and how he got there.
Yeah, Courtney, real quick, just percentage-wise to put you on the spot, make you a little uncomfortable. I always tell my kids, make yourself uncomfortable every day because life's not easy. Didn't go over very well when I...
Make yourself uncomfortable every day because life's not easy. And she's like,
forced my daughter to play soccer and she didn't want to do that. But man, one day I turned into my dad. You turned into your dad one day. But it's just so hard to believe that he left that house on his own at this point. Percentage-wise, where would you put it that he did leave his house on his own? Under 50%, under 30%, above 70%? What do you think?
I've never been good at math, but I would say less than 50% chance that he left on his own. Just knowing his history of not leaving without shoes. His shoes are at the house. Never having a history of leaving in the middle of the night, and yet he did. So those are big behaviors and big patterns to break. It had to have been for a reason.
All right. Courtney, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
You gave me some good advice to share today with my kids. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Doug, one of the things they're talking about, I think you sort of touched on this when you were talking about the Alaska stuff, but
now here we are on
Sumner
Alaska.
County Sheriff and TBI say that they do have a sophisticated mapping system. What does that mean in lay terms?
It means they do have intelligence officers, agents that are very good in geospatial analysis. They are very good at retrieving that digital evidence, anything from phones to watches, earbuds. I mean, you name it. Anything that can give location data.
He doesn't have earbuds. What are you talking about? He didn't have a phone. He didn't have anything like that.
Friend of mine, and every single time he drives anywhere, even if he's been there a dozen times, he puts it into GPS. He always knows the exact amount of time it takes to get there. So it's not.
They probably pay their hashtag best guess. So she probably said, 30 minutes.
it's a little odd that he's being specific. It can be seen that way. I understand that, but it's not necessarily a sign of guilt.
I'm glad you brought that up. You don't, especially if there's no responsibility on their end, you don't want to do this. But I think a lot of people are questioning it. That is always the elephant in the room. But got to follow the evidence. Why I'm getting muted by myself, I don't know. Hang on a second, everyone.
Connect with a lot of people online, and they're all his BFFs.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Will run away just to meet fellow gamers.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying about my son, how awkward he is in real life social situations, but being, on the spectrum, he does actually connect with a lot of people online, and they're all his BFFs. It's crazy. I mean, there are people that he's been associated with online for years that he's never actually met in person, and he does talk about going to visit them sometimes. So I do think that is a possibility. It could have been a situation where in real life, Sebastian did not feel like he fit in. He did not feel like he belonged at home. He did not feel like he belonged at school.
How does she know how Sebastian felt? So she's not comfortable investigating the case before a family member or law enforcement contacts her, but she's comfortable saying how Sebastian felt? Am I getting this right? What is wrong with these people?
But there could have been somebody online that made him feel very accepted, and that could have been a motivation for him to leave.
Star Jerk is telling us that Sebastian did not have access to online gaming. Maybe he sneaked it in there. I don't know. Someone once told me the word snuck is not a word, so I always say sneaked. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I've always gone by that.
Directly
by that advice. So Doug McGregor, a couple more things, and then we will slowly wrap this up. But the Secret Service and apparently the FBI have also been brought in. What do they do differently, those two agencies? Obviously, we're used to the Secret Service protecting the president. But what do they do in these circumstances, in these cases, the FBI and the Secret Service?
I'm not completely sure why they have been brought in. I mean, I can hypothesize. So the FBI gets brought in for, one, their abilities, right? They have better technical abilities in a lot of areas. They have behavioral analysis units, specialized units like behavioral analysis. And they also get brought in if anything goes cross border from one state to another, right? They have that jurisdiction as well. So they may have been brought in for any one of these. The Secret Service, I'm not completely sure what they were brought in for. I assume it's similar in nature, either technical or expertise in some area. And that's probably why they were brought in as well, but I'm not completely sure on that answer.
Brutally honest here. Sebastian did leave. This is for Heather, and this is your own experience as a mother of a child with on the autism spectrum. If he did leave the home on his own accord, that he would have done so because he was truly scared to stay in the house and thought it would be best to hide somewhere outside. Do you agree with that?
I mean, anything's a possibility. I'm not going to say, no, that's wrong. That's, no way. Sure, it's possible. But I don't see him leaving unless he had somewhere to go, especially being an autistic child who seems to have been pretty sheltered from the outside world. I don't think he would feel any more comfortable or safe leaving the house. I mean, it's big and it's scary out there, especially for somebody who's neurodivergent. So no, I just don't feel that. But I did want to kind of expand on the FBI thing. That could also indicate that there's something that's gone on online, because think about the fact that, jurisdictional, like Tennessee or Sumner County wouldn't have jurisdiction over something that happened on a platform that's based out of California. That's just an example, but, so that would be a reason to bring in the FBI or the Secret Service.
Never gotten such a passionate feedback. A million people telling me that snuck is a word. I think we're gonna have to start the word of the show. The best word of the broadcast. We'll have to start that. We'll pull up a word. My dad used to make me read Herman Melville and Nathaniel Hawthorne when I was in seventh grade. Used to force me to sit down and read. So
no one cares.
I used to read back then, learned a couple of big words, and that's about it. That's pretty much all I learned, and then I forgot most of them. Doug McGregor, this is a little out of your purview, but I'm just curious to get your take. Amber alerts, they are typically resolved within hours. Right now, however, according to the NCMEC, better known as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they collaborate with U.S. Justice Department on this. There are only 2 current active Amber Alerts nationally, from what I understand. The other one is a 3-year-old boy named Elijah View. I have to be honest, I don't know much about. He has been missing since February in Wisconsin. So he's the other. And then Sebastian Rogers is the one that we all know of because we're here talking about him. One of only 2 active Amber Alerts. What does that mean?
Your guess is as good as mine, Joel. I was following that on X today, and it was going back and forth whether it's a thing or not a thing. And, and there was one true crime personality that commented that it was a thing, and she's formerly FBI. But then the TBI spokesperson came out, commented on hers, replied to her, and said that it is not a thing. So I have no idea if a national Amber Alert is a thing in the United States or not. And if it is, why there would only be 2 children on there. It's kind of, like you said, it's out of my jurisdiction.
Yeah, it struck me as kind of weird. And I did see that argument. I think that it was issue of semantics. I think it was that there are 2 active ones nationally. Someone called them national Amber Alerts, and that's how that argument started. But that's what Twitter is for. Totally pointless arguments, and everyone gets worked up. So Heather, and for some reason my my headphones keep cutting out and I keep getting muted. But in a little bit of time we have left, these were some of the questions that you had for yourself and others. Was Sebastian being bullied at school? Which online platforms and games did Sebastian have access to? We're hearing he didn't have access to much. Had Sebastian ever shown signs of depression or tendencies to maybe want to unalive himself? Were there weapons in the home, and are any of those weapons missing? Are these typical questions that you ask yourself, or are you only asking yourself these in this particular circumstance?
I think they're pretty typical questions for missing people, Sebastian's age. But it's also tailored specifically to what I know about this case.
There you go. So listen, Sebastian, it has been 46 days, and we're doing these shows to get the word out there, to bring up his photo like this one, to let people know that people do care about him and that we are looking for him. And another amazing panel today. Big shout out to Courtney Lasky. She's a board certified.
Okay, enough of that. There's another interview with her, though. On
Fox,
channel.
Investigators are encouraged by what they...
Surviving the Survivor, Sebastian Rogers, private investigators, because he hosted Heather, and after they took the case, he hosted her and Tracy. New and private investigator 3 months ago. Yep, here it is. Here it is, y'all. There's Heather and there's Tracy. Now, that was April 11th. She did not have the case. Now we're back on the 16th. Within 5 days. So she was on there. Why do I feel like she was talking to Tony? Because before she even was on the books with Seth, she's on here speculating about the Proudfoots, putting out this narrative. Read wrong? Not really. I mean, I had one conversation with them, Chloe. I don't really expect to get a full feel on Seth's friend from one convo. And honestly, I didn't mind Michelle, his wife, but when he asked me where I lived, I was done. And I don't know what you mean by read wrong. I think you're trying to be a smartass. But yeah, I give people a chance until they show me I shouldn't. Do you? So anyway, April 16th, within 5 days, she had the case. The first chapter is called Macro Perspective. He's got Rob D'Amico, founder of Sierra One Consulting, and Heather Cohen, and her cohort Tracy. Okay, so let's see how this started out. I remember because I watched this live. All right, here we go.
Office in
April 16th.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said it is continuing to investigate every lead that comes in during this ongoing search for missing teen Sebastian Rogers. Obviously, it is an onerous one, to say the least. There's some contradictory statements. Sumner County is saying there's no evidence to support foul play, yet they have not ruled out foul play. So we will ask our guest about that. And right on cue here, we've got Rob D'Amico, a fellow Jerseyan from the great state of New Jersey, but also now living in the Sunshine State. A lot of us migrate south. But Rob D'Amico, who is a first-time best guest, and very glad to have him. He has served his country for 39 years over the course of a unique hybrid career in law enforcement and military service, covering counterterrorism and cybersecurity. Rob has worked tirelessly to help keep America safe. Rob joined the FBI as a special agent and was quickly assigned to infiltrate an organized crime family as an undercover agent. Rob was living amongst and working with mafia members up and down the East Coast. And he now has his own company. Rob, I don't know that I have it right in front of me here. I know I saw say, what is the name of the company?
Sierra One Consulting.
Yeah, Sierra One Consulting. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue. And Rob does a lot of appearances in media and on media for CNN, Fox, MSNBC.
Yeah, the name of his Sierra One Consulting is right on the screen, you fucking numbskull.
And on it goes. Heather Cohen is set to join us, so she will likely be here. She's the host of Justice Warriors podcast and was featured on the Discovery ID show Secrets, Lies, and Private Eyes. And person who works alongside her at Justice Warriors is Tracy Ellis. How are you, Tracy?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. Do we know if Heather's planning on jumping on?
You should jump in any apartment complex. She was out working a job.
Yeah. Oh, and
so Heather was late to her own show.
Did I get the right information? Has Heather now been retained actually to work on this case, on the Sebastian Rogers case, or not?
We are going to let Heather answer that. However, he can tell by my cues. I have all my cues going. Mark McClish was we trained with Mark McClish. So
who's Mark McClish? Anyone know? Chloe, I'm not sensitive today. You're an actual person for Sebastian. I don't know what you mean, Chloe. I have no clue what you're talking about. I'm not sensitive. You're gaslighting me. Have a good day.
He does speech analysis and statement analysis.
Interesting. I know there have been several prominent speech analysts who think that there's some strange things going on here. And Heather Cohen is back to join us. I just introduced you, Heather. Thank you for coming back. So let's just kick things off. Rob D'Amico, our first-time guest here. Rob, 7 weeks. All
right, we're going to skip Rob.
And you're still following all the...
I would have my mic muted.
Oh, she was a mess.
I would have my mic muted because my dog was barking. Yes, I am.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
Or, well, to be honest, I was wanting to hide, in the shadows for a little bit, but what I understand, I believe that the sheriff gave a statement to Channel 2 today that there have been 2 private investigators hired, and so the cat's out of the bag. Myself and there is another private investigator also has been officially hired, and so yeah.
And are you hired, if I can ask, by Sumner County? Is that who hired you?
No, no, I am hired by the biological father. And
5 days. 5 days after her initial presentation, talking about how Seth's boots on the ground and talking about the abuse at home, the pull-ups, and the whole 9 yards.
And again, I didn't want that to be known publicly, but the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows, so there's really no reason to hide it at this point.
Well, so you're hearing it here for the first time. Heather Cohen's firm, Justice Warriors, now working in an official capacity, hired by Seth Rogers. It just goes to show you the links that Seth Rogers, the father, is going to here. Again, a little funny. I'm gonna, if you're not speaking, if you can just keep yourselves muted, that would help me, Rob and Tracy. I know it's a little bit of a pain, and then we'll unmute as you go. But Heather, there's a question here from Annie. Is it time to try pinning the mom, Katie Proudfoot, against the father, Chris Proudfoot, with a time-limited bluff about the first one gets the deal kind of thing?
Is it time to pin Katie and Chris against each other? He's asking this of who? Heather. He's asking Heather.
See, I know it's a little bit of a pain, and then we'll unmute as you go. But Heather, there's a question here from Annie. Is it time to try pinning the mom, Katie Proudfoot, against the father, Chris Proudfoot, with a time-limited bluff about the first one gets the deal kind of thing? Are we at that point yet where you've got to pressure one side or the other?
Well, no, I'm not at that point. I've only been working this case for 2 days. So I don't know where law enforcement are at with it.
Wow. So she got it 3 days. She got the case 3 days after her initial appearance on this show. because she said she's had it for 2 days already. I mean, she had a lot to say 5 days ago.
Firm Justice Warriors now working in an official capacity, hired by Seth Rogers. It just goes to show you the links that Seth Rogers, the father, is going to here. Again, a little
just shows you the lengths that the father's going to. Wow.
Funny. If you're not speaking, if you can just keep yourselves muted, that would help me, Rob and Trace.
It would help me if you muted, dumbass.
See, I know it's a little bit of a pain, and then we'll unmute as you go. But Heather, there's a question here from Annie. Is it time to try pinning the mom, Katie Proudfoot, against the father, Chris Proudfoot, with a time-limited bluff about the first one gets the deal kind of thing? Are we at that point yet where you've got to pressure one side or the other?
Well, no, I'm not at that point. I've only been working this case for 2 days. So I don't know where law enforcement are at with it. But I'm still trying to vet. I'm still trying to figure out who I even, believe should be on the radar. And I'm not at a point to, that I'm comfortable publicly saying anything about the Proudfoots.
We're looking at
You already did 5 days ago. This chick should not, she can't be trusted. Sorry, that's my opinion, that she can't be trusted. She's not comfortable talking about the Proudfoots, but she was. Hey, Eeyore Blues, love your name. But now she's not comfortable now. But she was just talking all about the pull-ups and the belt and the belt buckle and how he would have run away. And then they were talking about how, autistic kids, do they unalive themselves more?
a picture here, obviously, of Sebastian Rogers, missing 15-year-old. If you have tips, 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you just reach out to Heather Cohen through Surviving the Survivor at Gmail, since she's in an official capacity now. This is one photo, and this is another photo that I saw today. This is an Amber Alert. This almost looks like an AI-generated photo, but
yeah, it is. Why are you showing AI-generated shit? What is wrong with you? There's a TBI flyer that is so easy to find. Who was sending him this garbage?
This is an Amber Alert.
That doesn't even look like Sebastian.
One of two that I think are still active. That may have changed since last week, but last week I know there was one of two active in the nation at that point. Tracy, I'm just wondering the same question I asked Rob, just from a very wide perspective, your thoughts on this case about a 15-year-old seemingly just disappearing out of his bedroom 7 weeks ago without shoes. Just remember to unmute yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to remind me of that one.
Tracy?
Several thoughts. One is, of course, she mentioned Devin Bond, a case we worked a while back, who was a teenager and went missing, just up and disappeared. Then there's Joe Clyde Daniels, Baby Joe, in this Mid-South, Middle Tennessee. He was an autistic child that disappeared. So you have those two cases that kind of buddy up with this case on either side. I try not to get tunnel vision. That's the worst thing.
Buddy up? And they don't have tunnel vision? And look at her vaping. Meanwhile, Heather's vaping down here.
You can do is get tunnel vision if you are looking at everything. And if he was out without shoes on, maybe he walked, the camera would have gotten him, but maybe he walked somewhere and someone picked him up, so he wasn't there long without shoes. And his glasses, I'm not quite sure on the glasses if they're missing or if they found the glasses or he has the glasses with him, because why would you have the glasses with him if there was something wrong? I'm not sure that I'm still hung up on the glasses and where they are.
Yeah,
Heather,
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because at one point they said that a pair of glasses were found, and then they made it abundantly clear they were not Sebastian Rogers' glasses. But
yeah, by Seth's team, by the Proudfoot or by the Bauer Sox house in the road with minimal damage to them.
I think everyone assumed that his glasses are missing or went missing. So that's an interesting question to try to get to the bottom of. COE, this is for you from Charmaine Lilly. Joel, can we add the petition link that Seth has started to get help from the FBI? That you'll find it if you Google it, and we should get that up. Rob, I'm sorry. Did you want to jump in, Rob?
No, she mentioned tunnel vision, and I think that's one of the most important things, because as an investigator, having done like the sniper case, when the profilers came out and gave us a profile, everyone kind of got tunnel vision, and it really closed their eyes to those things. No matter how, I've seen so many cases.
These people love to hear themselves talk. This chapter is called Seth's petition. The next one is Sebastian's shoes.
Really was not talking to anyone and just walked away. That would be the worst case scenario, but you have to follow all of them.
Lindsay Shea, thank you for this. I'll be honest, there has not been a lot of news, not a lot of movement on this, which is precisely why I'm doing it, because these cases begin to fall out of the media spotlight, and I want people to stay focused on finding Sebastian. Again, it is the 7th week that we're in.
She just blew it out her nose. She just blew that out her nose, y'all. Watch this shit. She's going to start doing smoke rings next.
How someone picked him up and did something to him, because then you don't have any leads of communication, and he really was not talking to anyone and just walked away. That would be the worst case scenario, but you have to follow all of them.
Lindsay Shea, thank you for this. I'll be honest, there has not been a lot of news, not a lot of movement on this, which is precisely why I'm doing it, because these cases begin to fall out of the media spotlight, and I want people to stay focused on finding Sebastian. Again, it is the 7th week that we're in here. Rob, just back to you on this. Someone brought up an interesting point that I had not seen brought up before, which is he's got a school bus driver and he's got classmates, and there's been no talk at all. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but let's just say you were the lead investigator. Are you looking at everyone? I mean, are you speaking to the bus driver? Are you speaking to the parents of classmates?
You absolutely have to. You don't know what thing that he said that may give you that he may only have trusted so many people to talk to or said something, and you have to go back to him multiple times, because a lot of times they think they told you, and then they may remember something. It may be something that comes up, and you're looking through all his notebooks in school. Was he doodling something? Was he writing something? Did he say something offhand? And you just have to constantly go over things and fresh set of eyes, have another investigator come in to look at it, because sometimes you get tunnel vision on something and you don't see it the same. So hopefully they're doing that. And that's, when you get into, like, if TBI gets involved or the FBI, you get fresh sets of eyes. You get people that aren't maybe locked into a local thing that's going on, to look at it differently. And you have to just keep pushing that with it. And it's one of those, you don't know where that lead's going to come from. I remember when I worked Fugitives, Saturday night when America's Most Wanted was coming on, we hated it because we were running around the city.
Okay, I can't listen to him. He just likes to hear himself talk. Okay, here we go. So this is Sebastian's shoes.
Hunter's a good dude out of New York. Linda Vergata here. This is a great question. Is there any proof that he did not have more than 3 pairs of shoes? How can we be sure? Heather, to you on this one, the information we're getting about the shoes, I believe, is coming from the mom, Katie Proudfoot. So how can we be so sure that at this point that maybe he left with another pair of shoes? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think we really can be sure of that. But I think for me, the biggest mind bender about this whole case is the fact that something that we learned today from the sheriff, which I don't know how much of this has been out publicly, but he talked to us. I sat down with Sheriff Weatherford today at the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and he said that they've got footage from ring cams of Sebastian coming out, dropping the trash in the trash bin, going back in. They've got his lights coming on in his room.
All right, hold on.
They've got footage.
Hold on. I got to slow this girl down. What is she talking about? Okay, here we go.
Something that we learned today from the sheriff, which I don't know how much of this has been out publicly, but he talked to us. I sat down with Sheriff Weatherford today at the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and he said that they've got footage from ring cams of Sebastian coming out, dropping the trash in the trash bin, going back in. They've got his lights coming on in his room. They've got footage of him going in. There's no footage of him ever coming out. I mean, that's the big mind bender here, is that there's not even any proof that he ever left the house. They have nothing. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, that's amazing right there, because you just don't even know where to begin, which is, I'm going to come back to you on that. Jody Arrington, I seem to remember law enforcement not wanting to comment about the lights. There was this talk about 2 flashlights on a front lawn. Tracy, I don't know if you recall this, but I think they went back and said, hey,
2 flashlights on the front lawn. I mean, this is terrible. They have 116,000 subscribers and 55,000 views on this video, and everything's wrong.
Those were really just floodlights from the opposite side of the house. Do you have any information on this, Tracy?
I do, and I got it from this great PI that's working the case. And yes, they were floodlights. They have determined that they were floodlights, not flashlights.
Wait, what? How do you know, Tracy? What?
lights. There was this talk about 2 flashlights on the front lawn. Tracy, I don't know if you recall this, but I think they went back and said, hey, those were really just floodlights from the opposite side of the house. Do you have any information on this, Tracy?
I do, and I got it from this great PI that's working the case. And yes, they were floodlights. They have determined that they were floodlights, not flashlights.
A great PI who's working the case. Weren't y'all just hired 2 days ago? What's the great PI working the case?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
And that could change the perspective of the case in some ways, because I think at the point where they thought they were flashlights, they assumed that maybe it was someone possibly even leading Sebastian out, but that is proving not to be the case. This petition is what Amelia is talking about here. I signed that flyer for the FBI to take over on this case that's out that Seth had made for Sebastian. Did you guys see that? It's huge. Rob, would the FBI ever take over a case because the public is petitioning for it? I'm curious what your thought is.
No. It's one of those where the FBI will get more involved on the request of the police. If someone could prove some
a fucking petition does nothing, Mark. Face it.
For some crazy reason that it wasn't something was going on odd, maybe, but we're not going to take over the case. So those are a bit extreme. We may provide more resources based on what they're asking. If they have a lead, we may send down one of our aircraft that can even look at. We have aircraft that have sensors that can find shallow graves and some other technology that if something comes up that they'll request it and come down, but we're not going to take the case over. We're going to just work with them.
Rob, let me ask you a question you can't answer. Why is there no shortage of violent crime in this country? Why does it just never, ever end?
Actually, I've been around the world and there's no short of violent crime anywhere. I was just talking to somebody today about this, and I just never am not surprised at the ability of other humans to harm humans. And it's worse in some places, and though this country's not short of it. And it's unbelievable when you start looking at it.
Yeah, it does happen elsewhere. It just seems, obviously we're here in the States, but it's got to stop.
Okay, Oklahoma. What's this all about?
I guess it's been going on since the beginning of time. My thing is, why don't people understand like this case out of Oklahoma? These people are going to sit in prison.
All right, we're skipping that. Nikki.
Oh, that's, I guess, going back to the whole tunnel vision issue is,
Who's Nikki?
we just...
Who's Nikki? This chapter is labeled Nikki.
Oh, that's, I guess, going back to the whole tunnel vision issue is, are we just so thirsty to get him? But we'll see how it plays out. This is great. We'll go in the opposite clockwise here with a guest. Nikki Cuds, our friend in the NYC in New York. Do we know, and I know he's high functioning, but Tracy, do we know his verbal communication skills, what level they're at?
I'll tell you what, if you call his name, he'll look, Joel.
Able to explain something to someone out in the public?
I do not know 100%. I know that he is, they were saying that he could make his way down to get some ice cream. He knew how to walk that far. He knew the route to take. He knows the route to take to his dad's house. So that tells me he is not at a extremely high IQ level on the majority of things. He has some obviously lower in that range of being able to just, I know plenty of autistic people that live their lives, go to work every day, went to college, like that. I don't think he's that capable.
Okay. Knowing that, I'm sure law enforcement knows that at this point.
Tracy is now speaking on what?
To take. He knows the route to take to his dad's house. So that tells me he is not at a extremely high IQ level on the majority of things. He has some obviously lower in that range of being able to just, I know plenty of autistic people that live their lives, go to work every day, went to college, like that. I don't think he's that capable.
Okay.
Wow, really, Tracy? Okay. I'm going to tell you something right now. The FBI is not going to take a petition from any fucking body. Okay, no offense. But those petitions, change.org, are useless. Especially for the FBI. Congress can't even get the FBI director to answer simple questions about a possible attempted assassination attempt. You really think that the FBI is going to go, oh, Seth Rogers' crew has a change.org petition with 10,000 signatures. we better get involved. Oh, golly gee. It doesn't fucking happen like that. All of this is misinformation and fucking distractions to make you feel like law enforcement isn't doing everything they can. Just like Michael has been saying this whole time. Just like Amy's saying, defending vaping on what's supposed to be a professional interview. If people are saying things like that that defy common sense, there's a reason for it. The FBI doesn't work that way. I mean, these people should all know this. But they don't tell you that. Go sign it. Go sign it. You can't make the FBI do anything.
Knowing that,
I'm
sure
sorry, but the misinformation in this case is enough. I just can't believe we're going back to April 16th. And these are supposed to be professionals. Everyone on this panel is supposed to be a professional. If you can't see through that, then this isn't the chat for you, because we dissect things here. And there are cues about people that show you who they are, right? If you have someone telling you, I'm professional, and then vape smoke come out their nose, they might not be that professional. Just saying.
law enforcement knows that at this point. From Jazz, these are great questions coming in. Heather, I don't know if you know this, you'll probably find this out now that you're actually involved in the case. Have they done a door-to-door search in that community? Now, I do know that the Sumner County Sheriff has asked at one point, I don't know if he still is, for residents in Hendersonville.
I mean, why don't people have higher expectations for people who say they're professionals? That's what's wrong with this. People say, oh, hey, I'm a professional, and people just believe it.
To check their properties twice a day. But do you know if a door-to-door search was done, Heather?
I'm sure in the immediate area. I don't know that they've expanded out for, door-to-door knocks beyond that. But I do know that they have done 5-mile radius search. They've had the technology, the high technology aircraft that flies over that can see the thermal.
It's called a fucking fixed wing airplane, is what it's called. Did you even watch the press conferences?
The way it was explained to me during the Cummins case, that they were flying 10,000 feet above and they could see him limping through the woods. Well, that is the same technology that they used in a 5-mile radius looking through the woods for Sebastian.
Absolutely.
Real quick, just before I forget, I'm
sorry.
My friend Kevin Fixler, who is AP Reporter of the Year in Idaho, he's breaking a fairly interesting and big story on Brian Kohberger tomorrow. That will be in the Idaho Statesman, and we're going to have him on tomorrow night with some guests to discuss that. It's a busy week. And then on Thursday, we're getting some new information in the Ellen Greenberg case. I just spoke to, this is the case that I wish all these investigators would take up.
Okay, we're skipping that. Here we go.
And it's being kicked around the different districts in Pennsylvania, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So her parents are set to join us, and I'm hoping that her attorney, we're trying to do that on Thursday night. From WebFan, Joel, was a game station of Sebastian Rogers retrieved? The account saves his last interaction and whom he was playing with. Heather's nodding her head yes. Now, Heather, I've heard contradictory reports. I heard that he wasn't a gamer. He wasn't allowed to play games. And then some people say he was a gamer. You're shaking your head yes. What do you know?
He was allowed to play at his father's. His PlayStation and his father's PlayStation were both taken. They have both of them. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, obviously, we always hear about computers being seized, but I'm not sure how they will. We can ask Rob about that in a minute. But Heather, back to you. Now that you've made it publicly known that you are working on this case and you were hired by Sebastian Rogers, the biological father, where I asked you this last time, but now it's a real question. Where do you begin here? Well, so I started with talking, trying to talk to all, the family members, the immediate family members. But where I'm at right now, all day yesterday, all day today, I've been focusing on the sex offenders in the immediate area. I found there's some very interesting facts about that. There is a sex offender, very, very close, who has several sexual or aggravated sexual assault charges, one on a minor under the age of 13. Can you say, is this within a few blocks, a mile? I mean, this is within a mile. Within a mile, okay. Correct. So you think you'll start there, looking at some of these people, is that right? That's where I'm at right now, yes. Rob D'Amico, back to you on this, and feel free to comment on that. But I'm just curious, you're 7 weeks in and nothing. Do you have to do like a proverbial reset at some point and kind of take a breath and look at everything? I don't know how many times I have to say this. The FBI has been involved in this case, assisting since day one. And they thought that a petition on change.org to petition the FBI to take over from the local LE would work. No, what it did was let the public know
we don't trust local LE, so we need the FBI, even though we know this is a fruitless petition. You're being duped. You're being duped. They knew that the FBI could never take over. Tony's even said it. No, they don't do that. But they still send you over to this petition, this useless petition that you're putting your name on, right? Knowing it will go nowhere, but then tugging at your heartstrings. Oh, Seth's out looking. He's got a petition. Don't be duped. Open your minds wide open like a cooter. Open them. Look at all of it. Don't have tunnel vision like Tracy just said. Don't have tunnel vision. You gotta see through the bullshit to get to what's important.
And then kind of try to figure out where to pivot from.
I think you do. I would hope maybe TBI has a team.
Oh, this thing says Rob, so we're gonna skip that chapter. Okay, here we go. Tracy, question for Tracy on Proudfoot. Here we go. This entire chapter is Proudfoot. Yep, this entire chapter is labeled Proudfoot. Here we go.
This is just eating away at me. And Tracy, I'm curious to get your take on this. From Aria Dakota Grimaldi Lane, a great name. Apparently the Proudfoots have moved out of their Tennessee home and moved to Memphis. How does this look to law enforcement? Heather saying no. Tracy saying no. So where are they now? Tracy.
I'm not going to say where they are.
Okay.
But they are not in the Memphis. They are not in the Memphis area.
Are they close to Hendersonville? Are they in Hendersonville? I mean,
yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say where they are, but they're not in Memphis. Are they in Hendersonville? Heather, Tracy, yes. If you can't see through this, if you still think that these women are professional after seeing this, analyzing it, thinking about it, opening your mind, I don't know what to say. No one's taken over. Sumner County is the lead. Oh my God. See what I mean? This is what is so frustrating covering this case, is that you have people coming in saying, TBI has taken over. Sumner County sucks. No, they don't. And no, they didn't. This was just put out yesterday by Nick Barris. You ready? Gotta find it. 20 hours ago. Can you guys see that? I mean, this misinformation has got to fucking stop, man. It's as simple as a search. Update on Sebastian Rogers. The 15-year-old has now been missing for 5 months since he disappeared. Sadly, there's nothing new to report. He remains missing. In this information vacuum, rumors continue to run wild. Several of you messaged me today to say a YouTuber is reporting the FBI has taken over the investigation. All caps. No. You hear that? No. That's misinformation.
Wake up. McNo.
Well, I trust Nick Barris, who's been a reporter the majority of his life, before I trust Don B. Okay? Don B once had a thumbnail about Summer Wells where there was a hole being dug with a shovel with a little kid's leg in the background. That was what he used as his thumbnail. Fuck Don B. I think Don B wants to be a cop and he's not. I trust Nick Barris. If you trust Don B, then you go to Don B's channel. Because that's bullshit. Hendersonville's not going to tell Don B shit. Don B stands for Don Bullshit. Several of you messaged me today to say a YouTuber is reporting the TBI has taken over the investigation. No. I spoke with Sumner County Sheriff Sonny Weatherford today. He assures me the Sumner Sheriff's Office remains the lead in the investigation. Nothing has changed. But he adds there's been a working partnership with the TBI from the very beginning, which continues. Of course, most all law enforcement agencies across the state and beyond are looking out for Sebastian. I mean, I can't take it. This kid deserves better. Don B? Oh, TBI's taking it over. You need money that bad? Go get a fucking job. My God. This is a kid. Oh, he did this bullshit in Summer Wells, too. He's one of those that lives in Tennessee, and it's annoying. And it's horrible to do in Sebastian's name. It's sick. Sal 80, welcome. Sick of it.
Yeah.
Sick of it. Downright bullshit. I mean, you spend more time clearing up misinformation in this case than you do talking about the damn case. Because you got idiots out here putting out misinformation. Lucia, thank you for being a member for 30 months. Wow. That's awesome.
Coming in hot, just like the fajita.
Yeah, it's grifting. It's grifting. Misinformation. Yep.
This is just eating away at me.
Oh,
And Tracy, I'm curious to
it's
get
just
your
eating away at him. Y'all, I'm sick of these. I'm sick of these fake players in these kids' cases. I've had it. I have had it. I'm tired of it. I do, Michelle. I need something. I mean, I'm just tired of it. These people don't care about getting the facts right. They're so self-absorbed. They love to hear themselves talk. They want to have something successful. It's sick. They take their personal issues and they get involved in these cases that are about children. Hey, Cindy Bobbitt.
John Wayne Bobbitt's penis.
your take on this. From Aria Dakota Grimaldi Lane, a great name. Apparently, the Proudfoots have moved out of their Tennessee home and moved to Memphis. How does this look to law enforcement? Heather's saying no. Tracy's saying no. So where are they now? Tracy.
I'm not going to say where they are.
Okay.
But they
Probably
are
smart
not.
idea.
Oh, this is about the Proudfoots' location. He said they moved out down to Memphis. And then they say, no, we're not going to say where they are. And you wonder why Katie feels threatened? You got people saying, oh, speak up, Katie, speak up, Katie. Then you got these bitches giving where they're, what? Come on. Y'all, this is not okay.
What?
They are not in the Memphis area.
Are they close to Hendersonville? Are they in Hendersonville? I mean,
Yes.
okay.
Wow.
In the area. They're in the area of where they were.
But there were reports that they took off. Did that raise your alarm at all?
I can't believe
Tracy?
this.
It in some ways, yes. And in other ways, you've got to look at it. These people are being threatened with their lives. It's full on down here. You know, when that local lynch mob gets going.
What the fuck is she talking about? Deputy Eric Craddock said that, or whatever his name is, he said that there was no reports. And the Cajun Navy said they reported harassment to the Nashville police. So why are they saying this is a local lynch mob? Why are they making this narrative?
Fuck directly off.
Wow.
They see it one way. But yeah, I can understand why they moved and needed to just get away at that point.
Okay.
And I did want to
fair enough.
Add too that the TBI comes in on a missing persons case, if I'm correct. However, they must be invited in if it becomes a homicide. Am I correct in that?
No.
Shake your head, Heather.
No, you're fucking wrong in that. Are you fucking kidding me?
Roberta.
No, Michael, these people suck. Tennessee law enforcement's quiet, doing their fucking jobs, and these people are making a mockery of Sebastian Rogers' name.
I'm pretty. I maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude, you're a fucking idiot. Wow. I wouldn't hire these people if my life fucking depended on it.
get away at that point. And I did want to add, too, that the TBI comes in on a missing persons case, if I'm correct. However, they must be invited in if it becomes a homicide. Am I correct in that? Shake your head, Heather. I'm pretty, maybe not, I don't know.
Idiot.
Yeah. But I know with cases that, one of the cases that in another county in Tennessee, that they were there as soon as there was a missing person. However, they were not invited into the homicide when the body was found, and they were
no
not.
Truth seeker. They're very uneducated. They're trying to play the game. Trying to play the game.
Part of that investigation.
One thing I wanted to ask Rob about, because he's talking about inconsistencies in statements, and I watched that Nancy Grace interview, Rob, with Katie and Chris Proudfoot pretty closely. And Chris Proudfoot, at one point when he's asked about going to Memphis, because I think at one point they did do that, he offered information. I brought this up on the show before, but it's just kind of stuck in my brain. He says to Nancy, well, Nancy, there's no way I could have done it. Something along these lines. It's a 3 hour and 37 minutes door to door. And he said exactly, it was almost like an alibi. It was almost like, hey, I couldn't have done this because look, it's 3 hours. It wasn't 3 hours and 35 minutes. It wasn't 3 hours and 30, it was 3 hours and 37 minutes. Curious if you picked up on that, what you made of it.
If I could show you my notes from that interview, I'm like 3 hours and 37 minutes, not 3.5 hours. Like, did you like it again, when you look at people, when they're lying and telling stories and making things up, what you remember and such, like the 337 was just one of those things that just caught my attention to do that and to understand that. And it was one of those that I said, someone who's making an alibi thinks that, oh, if I give really good detail, they'll believe me type of thing, because they read that in, one of those books about, uncovering lies and such. But that amount of detail, but then again, he doesn't remember what the son was lying about when he whipped him with the belt, but he remembers the 337. So it goes in and out. They remember certain things when they want to, and they don't remember certain things when they don't want to. But it was definitely one of those, it caught my attention. And I said, someone who's like laying that alibi out thinks if I give them a lot of detail, they're going to believe me. So 3 hours and 37 minutes caught my attention right off the bat. I wrote it down saying, okay, that's a bit much for me to understand that excuse. That alibi building thing. But it, again, you go into what was, there's so many ways to be able to check certain things like license plate readers and toll things and all these other stuff and phones. If he had his phone, I can start looking at the cell tower hits on that phone because I would assume he would be talking to his wife as he's hurrying home. Like, did you find anything? Did you find anything? But also in that interview, he did say he was going back to Memphis for work. And it was a really odd, like, he didn't explain it well. He's like, yeah, I got to get back to work. And then Nancy followed up, well, are you going? And she goes, and the wife, the wife says,
oh yeah, because y'all are giving their fucking location and talking about all these threats. Why would she want to be home by herself? Would you want to be home by yourself? I wouldn't.
Yes, but not for work. I'm just going to join him. Like, from all the people I've seen on missing people, they're so afraid to even turn the porch light off, let alone leave the house, thinking for whatever reason that they need to be there. And they kind of casually say, oh yeah, we're going for his work. But I did think of the threats there, because I do know it's like, I've seen people want to move out of the house just because of all the media attention and the threats back to the family. And I can see that too. But the reason they gave was not that at all. And it was early on. I don't know when Nancy Grace's interview was, but she hit on it. Like, you're leaving the house. You're not worried about it. Like, and then the excuse was very, very bland and vague.
Yeah. Well, Rob, at one point, and I'll get back to the other two in a moment. And I appreciate everyone being patient. But at one point, Rob, they did leave. I mean, that is for sure. They took off. If I have 3 children, if one of them went missing, I just know how I would react. I would never leave. I'd be at the front, steps of my house. I mean, what did you make of that? Because the previous question was, would that raise the antennae of law enforcement?
It would. Again, I have 4 kids, and my God, if anything happened, and then I don't even want to say what their mom would do, because that would be even like, it's one of those mother instinctual things and parents that you would just never, I don't think, want to leave the house. But with the blinders on, that's how I would react. And that's how certain people would react, that you can't really say, well, that indicates that they did it. You still have to keep those eyes open, even though it's heightening. It's a yellow flag. because everyone thinks, oh, everyone should react with us. And I've seen other things happen where people don't react the same way you think. And you're like, oh, they're guilty because they're not doing what I would do. And as a seasoned investigator, you really learn to put that down, say it's a yellow flag. It's definitely not right. I need to check this, but not saying, oh, they're guilty. And then you focus totally on them.
So many ways this investigation could still go. Shoshana here, love that name, by the way. Heather, were Sebastian's clothes that he wore to, I think it was BJ's, found at the home? Do we know?
I actually saw that question and I texted the other PI because she's worked it longer and I wasn't sure that question or the answer to that question. She said that we have not received confirmation of that Seth has asked law enforcement and they have not confirmed to him.
And then there's this question from Kelly J. Did you find it odd that Katie calls him and he calls the sheriff, not 911, and not the mother calling 911? Heather, that is curious, right?
It's interesting. And what I've been told about that was that she was supposedly on three-way during that call, but she was muted.
It's always an answer, I guess. Rob D'Amico shaking his head.
Exactly. Same.
Tracy, I know you work with Heather, from what I understand. So now that you guys are officially kind of helping out here, what is your role going to be? Do you know, starting, I guess, today?
Well, I'm Heather's backup. Whatever she needs, I do it. I get it done, or I find a way to get it done. That way she can keep out there and ground pounding, going door to door and finding out what she needs to do.
Okay.
And I want to get back to kind of a day in the life of you guys in just a moment. But Rob D'Amico, so Sumner County Sheriff and the TBI basically say, look, there's no foul play involved, but at the same time, in the same breath, saying foul play has not been ruled out, that no one's been cleared. So what would it take here? And I asked this last time, but what would it take to open a criminal investigation? They need some sort of hard evidence, right? Blood evidence, something along those lines.
I call that the no evidence of foul play, the Atlanta bombing thing with law enforcement, where was it Richard Jewell, the whole thing, and they got sued and stuff like that for saying he was a target. And so I think law enforcement is very, very conscious of saying that. And I think some of this, they can do a lot of things without a, quote, upfront criminal investigation. I hope they got voluntary search warrants and everything else like that. That's, again, I would just ask, can we come in and search your house? And if they say no, I would have real, even though the Fifth Amendment stuff, I have issues, because if it was my kid, again, I'm rational. I'd say, come in and search my house. Everything you need, I will give you. And if they don't, I would think there's something to that. So hopefully they still have a mechanism to get search warrants or electronics or email.
Dude, what are you talking about? They were at the Proudfoots home almost a dozen times. These people they don't even know what's happened, it seems like.
Emails and all these other things that you need to start doing down. Hopefully they're getting the electronic data from the cell towers and such, because sometimes you don't need that in a case where, Quarles exception, where it's public safety, you're looking for someone that's trying to still be alive, and you could do certain things without a criminal case. But hopefully they have some mechanism to do those. If they don't, then they really do need to open some type of inquiry or something, an assessment, to get them those powers of law enforcement to be able to look for certain information.
Robin E. Hunter, amen, amen. Heather's on the case.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. Wait, what? If CP and KP hired a PI, they're smarter than Seth, it seems like. They wouldn't let anybody know. That's why you have a PI. They're supposed to be private. When you have a PI and they're on YouTube panels and then you hire them a few days later, there's something more to it.
Bing bong.
Sending so much love and strength to find this young man, Sebastian Rogers. So, Heather, walk me, if you can, without giving away critical information, but what is a day for you like going to be, let's say tomorrow? What do you do? Are you going out into the community? Are you working on a computer? I'm just curious the process here.
It's being out there, and it's so fly by the seat of your pants. I can't, one thing may send you in this direction, in that direction. I really couldn't tell you. I've been, like I said, looking into the sex offenders. I've been, of course, by the house, all that stuff. Just talking to people, talking to neighbors, talking to the neighbors of the sex offenders, just trying to find somebody that's seen something. And I want to tell you, too, this is interesting. After the last time, a few days ago, when I was on your podcast, I received an anonymous tip, which has also been something that I'm following up on. And so, that's, I really appreciate it. Somebody that follows your podcast and decided to trust me with information they were afraid to go to law enforcement with.
That warms my
Somebody
heart.
from
That's why we're doing these
YouTube?
shows. Hopefully it'll bring some light. And here it is. You can send tips to survivingthesurvivor@gmail if you want, and I'll send.
He's going to take tips and send them to her? No. See the screen, dumbasses? 1-800-TBI-FIND. Wow.
them on to Heather, but obviously the best way to do it is 1-800-TBI-FIND. You can call 1-800-TBI-FIND, and that's why, again, for full transparency, not a lot of new news here, but I said I want to stay on this case. This could be anyone's child, and he needs to be found. Tracy, I'm wondering, you're sort of local, I think, to the area. What the media attention has been like
She's in
there. Is it dying down, or is
Listen.
it still making the news every night?
I'm actually in northern Mississippi, not far from Memphis, and Heather's actually in the area. But yeah, when they get there, the lynch mob get going. I mean, they just keep each other going until it gets out of hand, and that's why. And have the real facts and how it's done, and you just can't jump on the bandwagon. You have to find out. It's not dying down. It's just it just is.
Lynch
maybe the
mob.
search part of it is dying down, but not the talk and the interest is not dying down.
Yeah, and that was my next question. Heather, do we know? I mean, there were large search parties going out. Is that still happening?
There are still searches. But I did make a phone call to my friend Monica Kaysen, the founder of Q Center for Missing Persons, and we're trying to get them involved. And I'm trying to get her in touch directly with the sheriff's department to coordinate because they won't do anything without law enforcement's blessing. So they've got it. That's really our holdup right now, is just getting what they need and getting the communication line open with the sheriff's department.
Rob D'Amico from Brandy, she wants to know how many red or yellow flags need to be seen before investigators can. It's always an argument. It's either home, like you live in a home, or home. The proper word is home, H-O-M-E. But how many red or yellow flags do you need before you say, okay, we're going to look at such and such person, Rob?
Well, I think, yellow flags, you can start, it just gets your eye up. Like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. And the more that come up.
There's Seth. There's Seth. He just got pinned. I just want to find Sebastian. I can't listen to this Rob guy and his yellow flags. There's yellow flags all over this shit.
Little luster. Media gets bored quickly. And I said to the COE, I said to Steve Cohen, we have to stay on this story, and brought these experts on. So just know that we are working in our very small little way. And I heard from Heather Cohen. She got a tip from our show, which I told her warms my heart. But this platform is open to you. Survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. My wife, this notorious COE, is in the chat. If you need to come on here, get information out, just vent, speak to STS Nation. I always say the best guest, but the best, better nation, better community is STS Nation. And if we can help in any way, it's survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. That means doing a show a day until we get them. Let us know. And I'm glad to hear that you hired Heather, and cannot imagine what you're going through and the tireless efforts that you're putting in and the sleepless nights. It must be brutal, but know that you have a lot of support. We want you, Latoya, we want you as well. You have so much support behind you. Yes, this is true. I would say best guess, better community. Rob, anything with your vast experience that you would say to Seth? I mean, this is 7 weeks now of, I'm sure, very little sleep, not eating properly. Here's Seth. I don't have any new information currently. Rob, what would you say to Seth here?
I mean, survival. And we all can't imagine it, but just, surviving every day, and just doing what you can, what's in your ability, and don't lose hope, even when things look down. But it's one of those things that, everyone processes things differently, but just survive. And you got a ton of love out there. You got everyone, trying to do whatever they can for you and Sebastian. And it's one of those things that I really can't even imagine it, again, having 4 kids. But I just guess it's hour by hour. Sometimes it's minute by minute. But you're never going to give up hope for your child. So just keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully everyone within this will bring it to a close where you just understand.
Yeah, in these situations, I always wish there's something you could say, and there's not, because if you're not in that situation, you don't understand the pain. and the not knowing, it's got to be just unbearable. But we are here. And as I said, the platform is open to you. I was actually going to ask you, Heather, if you've had a conversation with Seth and what his state of mind is. I know he's here right now, but when you talk to him, does he still seem in good spirits?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Yes, I've had many conversations with Seth, and he is just, he hasn't, he's not able to sleep. He's not eating. Just every moment, it seems like he's just trying to find his kid. And that's
Heather, let me just interject right there. I might be wrong, but it seems like we're not hearing the same from Chris and Katie Proudfoot. We're not hearing the same desperation, the sleepless nights, the not eating. Does that concern you?
Well, I haven't had discussions with them like I have with Seth, so I can't say that they, that they're having, lavish meals and they're sleeping all night. And, I can't say that because I don't know. But, I think that we have to consider that maybe, Seth is being very, very transparent and he's front and center in the, as far as the public, and he has not been shy about saying how he feels about what happened in this case. Chris and Katie have been more reserved, and, we can interpret that however we want, but I don't think it necessarily means that they're, fine. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say right now about that. I can't really make that assumption about them.
And there's Seth and Sebastian during better days. And by the way, that's a picture of Sebastian, quite obviously with no glasses. It's just a different look for him. But look how happy Sebastian is with his dad, Seth, there. And I pray that they are reunited really quickly. Rob, back to you. We talked about the lie detector, just to kind of put a bow on that. So he's been wiggling his way, Chris Proudfoot, out of these. But I was reading today that you can trick lie detector tests, by taking a Xanax or something. Is that true? Or do those tests generally catch you?
Yeah, so there are ways to manipulate the lie detector if you understand how they work.
Okay, so they go into lie detectors talking about them being manipulated. Why do they step right into that?
In some of the programs I've been in, you learn because you may find yourself on one. Polygraphers know how to do it, but there's also ways now that they can detect it through. Again, I'm not going to get into all the lie detector, means on that, but it still consists down to the interview, to the guy running the polygraph and how they respond, and it's amazing. It's amazing what you can get them to admit without even doing that. So it's a combination of the interview and the polygraph and how they do it. I used to have to take a polygraph every 5 years for my reinvestigation. And it just sucks getting hooked up to it. And you have the games that are being played with the polygrapher and going back and forth and such that it gets into your mind. I always say though, like a sociopath, you can't really polygraph because he has no reaction to him lying, and he has no reaction to what he's done. I remember the polygraph I took getting in the bureau, the polygrapher looked at me and goes, "Oh, you must be Catholic because you react to everything. You have that Catholic guilt type of thing."
What? You have that Catholic guilt type of thing? In other words, you're a fucking liar?
And it's funny, but when you get a seasoned polygrapher being able to look at how you respond and what you're doing, looking at the chart and such, wow. It's one of those things. It's not just strictly a polygraph that tells you. It's the interviewer, the polygrapher interacting with equipment and how they see, again, someone that may be reacting. Because
when people tell you who they are, listen. When people tell you who they are, listen. Yeah, Catholic guilt, that means you hide it, right? Like when, the things that go on in the Catholic Church, Catholic guilt is like hiding shit.
When you lie, it's stressful, and you have to relieve stress. When
gross
through their hands, if you tie my hands up, I probably can't talk, being for Italian from New Jersey. But when you lie, there's all kinds of things that go with that. And you look at a polygraph where you have to sit there with your hands not moving, and there are going to be reactions to certain things. Again, if you ask Seth about it, he's going to have significant emotional reaction to certain questions and such. He's the father. He is having that. So you have to go back and forth. So polygraph, I think, are useful. I've seen them work unbelievable. And then I've seen some people just that are so good, it's the George Costanza, if you believe it, it's not a lie. If they convince themselves that, what they're saying isn't true, you're not going to see it on the machine. But again, the polygrapher may start seeing something to
George Costanza, isn't that from Seinfeld?
help an interview. But him trying to get out of it, I think, is a big thing where he said, they all say up front, like, I'll take a polygraph anytime. And then Nancy Grace makes it happen. And he's like, oh, no. We're not going to do that. I think that in itself starts talking to it.
Yeah. Seth Rogers back in. We all show and handle things differently. He's been nothing but all, full of grace throughout this. I don't think I'd be able to handle it that way. But people do handle things differently. I'd probably be, pointing my fingers at some people at this point. There was a good question about if Sebastian knows anyone's phone number. I don't even know if I know anyone's number anymore because your cell phone just literally just has everything saved. Like I literally do not think I know my own mother's cell phone. I have to think about it for a minute. But Heather, do we know if Sebastian has numbers memorized that he could call in a, if he was able to get to a phone?
I don't know the answer to that question. I just, as you were asking me, I just messaged and to see if you want to wait a couple of minutes and come back, I can give you an answer.
Yeah. And then Tracy, to you, one thing I'm curious about is just your thought on community involvement here. I mean, the community has been heavily involved. They've been handing out flyers, like we said earlier, conducting their own searches. How critical is a very aware community to solving a case like this?
Very aware that
Bye, Regina.
it's
have
imperative.
a fun night.
You have to have the community involved. You have to have people wanting to find this child. And the community has been very involved. They were involved. Tennessee is a volunteer state. They're always, whenever there's a missing child or a missing person,
This lady just
they
talks
are
to
very,
talk.
they come together. They really come together.
This is another great question. I'm going to toss to Rob here, and I've got another one for Rob. By the way, Heather, I mean this with all love. I love that you're reminding me of Edward R. Murrow. No one smokes on camera anymore except the old 1950s news guys. I don't know if that's a vape pen or what, but
It's
every
been
time.
a stressful day. Okay.
Hey.
He just called her out on the vaping. It took him an hour to do it, but he fucking did it. Oh, shit. Remind me of Edward Murrow. No one smokes on camera anymore. The 50s?
Great question. I'm going to toss to Rob here, and I've got another one for Rob. By the way, Heather, I mean this with all love. I love that you're reminding me of Edward R. Murrow. No one smokes on camera anymore except the old 1950s news guys. I don't know if that's a vape pen or what, but
It's
every
been
time.
a stressful day. Okay.
Hey, to each his own. I'm just saying it reminds me of the old news days where they used to smoke on set.
Oh my God. Wow. In other words, put the shit away.
Smoking airplanes. From C. Taylor.
From the days they used
Rob,
to smoke an airplane.
Stressful day. Okay.
Hey, to each his own. I'm just saying it reminds me of the old news days where they used to smoke on set. And they used to smoke in airplanes. From C. Taylor. Rob, to you, why did no cameras, and we don't know this for sure, but it seems this way, why did no cameras catch Sebastian on camera Sunday night, Monday morning if he left the house or someone lured him? Did all neighborhood Ring cameras go down at the same time? I mean, there are cameras out there, Rob. You got to assume that the TBI and everyone involved has looked through this many, many times. It's a great question. Your thoughts on an answer here?
So I have, 7 cameras in around my house. It all depends on the ability for the IR light at that time to pick something up. So infrared light, some cameras have it internal, but it only goes out 20 feet. If there was a light on, say, their front porch and the Ring cameras across the street, it would pick that up. But if there was no light on the front porch, that Ring camera doesn't have an IR light that's going to be able to pick something up 20, 30 yards across the street.
I bet she doesn't vape again.
So it all depends on lighting and what is captured and stuff. So I guarantee, like, the police have looked over those. They probably have sent those up to the further labs where you can try to enhance it and do other things to the video. But if the camera doesn't have the ability, if it doesn't have the pixels and the infrared light to shine on that, it picked them up, someone bringing the trash to the, front thing. I don't know if the resolution was good enough to say it was, if it was him. It could have been somebody bringing the trash, and it could have been him, it could have been his mom, it could have been someone else. Doesn't have the resolution to say who that.
But now remember, Tracy told us earlier that the flashlight video, the ruckus video, is floodlights, not flashlights. That came from Tracy's mouth. Captain Ganja says these people are all clowns.
That was so. If you have
Rob, here's sort of a follow up to this while we're on the topic from Samantha Ferroni,
Yes,
a fellow
Raquel.
Italian. I don't know if she's from New Jersey. I miss my Jersey Italians. Us Jewish people and the Jersey Italians, we get along well. We all move our hands wildly. Here's a $5 super chat. From an investigative standpoint, being cameras don't show Sebastian leaving the home, what is required now to have the homes tested forensically with luminol, things of that nature?
One, I would just ask voluntarily. I mean, and that's the simplest way. Like, look, if he left the home, let us come in and look at it forensically. And if they say no, and I don't know if they have counsel, who I'm sure would say no for them. But then I think there's enough in here to understand to get a search warrant, because a search warrant's based on that you've done everything else in this. You have to have some probable cause. But if you go down and start saying how the physical search of a boy that had, supposedly no shoes, could walk and nothing came up, and then you find no online chatter of him linking up with somebody, that maybe you couldn't talk a judge into getting a search warrant to do that in the house. If he in fact left, there's going to be no forensic crime scene in there. But it's one of those things going back and forth with your district attorney and what you have in the case, what they really truly have, that we may not be seeing to get that search. I would just voluntarily ask, say, look, if he left the house, let us do a forensic analysis of the house, of the home, to see. I would be surprised they didn't do that already. Just one of those things.
I mean, the chances are pretty good that they've done.
This isn't investigative journalism. This is having people that are paid by the father of the missing kid on panel, and they're clueless and they're vaping, and they don't even know when the FBI gets involved with a missing persons case.
Nah, correct? I hope.
I would think so. And the girls may know more. I would think they would way before this.
Yeah. Here's Seth Rogers with a little bit of good news that Sebastian has his cell phone memorized. So that is a good thing. So if he was able to get to a cell phone, he would know the number of his father, and he'd be able to reach out. So let's pray that phone rings and rings soon. Rob, I want to go back to you because this is kind of your world too. The TBI, this was a direct quote from a week or so ago. He says that they're all ready to go if they were to get some sort of big tip, and went on to say that a sophisticated mapping system shows all of the ground covered. What is this mapping system that they're talking about that they use here, and how is it used?
I don't know which one. There's a number of ARC systems out there that hopefully you put certain trackers with the different groups that are searching, and those GPS trackers then document where the searchers have been. That then they can overlay what they have and what they've seen. Hopefully overlay it if I think someone had said that they have thermal ability from some of the aircraft, that they can overlay the thermal imagery with what they searched, even though that can change to a point. So I'm not. There's a number of different mapping systems out there that they may have used. I think the FBI uses one, and TBI may be using another one. But it's all based on taking the maps and then having the tracker, the searchers have instruments, and it could be that they voluntarily use their phone to be able to do that, so that they can turn their phone in and you get the GPS data off the phone, so that you understand where search groups were.
Shoshana with another good question here. I'll toss this one to Tracy. On the dispatch recording, law enforcement says Sebastian would go back to his old school when he got in trouble. Was the wooded area on the route to the old school searched? My hope is yes. Tracy, do we know?
I do not know where that is within the search. No, I do not know.
Heather, do you happen to know the answer to that?
It was. I'm confirming right now, but yeah, I believe it. Yes, it was. And also to answer the question about the mapping system, it's Sartopo, and that's what they have used, Sartopo, which is the tracking that he's talking about.
Heather, last time you were on, and then we will begin to get final thoughts after this. You had 4 different questions that you said you wanted answers to. Was Sebastian being bullied at school? Do we know the answer to that?
I don't believe he was. I did ask that question. It was one of the first questions I asked, and the answer was no. Seth, the father, said he didn't think he was being bullied.
Second question was which online platforms and games did Sebastian have access to? Do you know that answer?
The PlayStation, Switch, and that's all that I know of. I guess Seth did confirm. I don't believe he's on any sort of social media platforms or anything like that. Just the PlayStation and Switch.
This was an important question you had. Had Sebastian ever shown signs of depression or tendencies to possibly unalive himself? Any word on that? Seems like a very happy-go-lucky kid.
No, not that I've been made aware of.
Yeah, and the final question you had was, were there weapons in the home? And were any of those weapons missing? Did you get an answer?
Yes, weapons in the home, but because I haven't had an opportunity to actually sit down and interview the Proudfoots, I don't know whether any were missing.
Well,
and what makes you think that the Proudfoots would even sit down and talk to you after this? What kind of a joke is this?
It was amazing to have this panel back here today, and obviously to have Seth Rogers in the chat. And I'll look for a few more questions. You see Tammy Selby here saying prayers for Sebastian and Seth. And again, whatever we can do to help Seth, we are here. And I hope you got that email. If you didn't, everyone let him know. survivingthesurvivor@gmail. This platform is open for him, and we're now 100.
So they'll only open the platform up to Seth. And we wonder why the Proudfoots won't talk to people. I mean, I'm just saying. This is really, really strange.
8,000 strong at STS as we continue to grow. So it's a strong platform, and hopefully it will be used for good. One of the people doing good is Tracy Ellis, who works alongside Heather Cohen as part of Justice Warriors and the private investigation agency that Heather runs. Tracy, just your final thoughts tonight and what your plans are regarding this case moving forward.
I normally do not work case in it, but Heather told me I was, so I did. But the fact that he's been gone so long just breaks my heart. That's the scary part to me, is how long he's been gone. To continue to dive into those rabbit holes until I can rule things out. That's how I do it. I go and rule it out. Just like the 3:37, he said 3 hours and 37 minutes. I remember that because when I put something up on my GPS, I remember those numbers exactly. And he's going back and forth to Memphis. So is that why he said that, or is it not? Those are the rabbit holes I have to get the answers to be able to check it off the list.
That's what you're checking off your list, is one statement of 3 hours and 37 minutes? What kind of a joke is this?
And hopefully you get those answers soon. I'm just going to pop you back on mute here. You see the emotion pouring in. We love you, Seth. Someone else just had another amazing comment from Brandy. Maybe I missed this too, but did you confirm that the TBI has done forensic testing in the home? Heather, do we know?
What I have been told is that they did thermal imaging to look into the walls. I don't know about luminol and, actually looking for blood. That hasn't been confirmed to me. I'm not sure, but I do know that since they have no evidence that he ever came out of the house, they were doing thermal imaging.
And she does have a work van. She described that on the Nancy Grace interview. Do we know if that work van
They have no evidence that he ever came out of the house
has been checked?
No, I don't know that the work van has been checked. Okay, so I just got the message. The other PI is listening, so sending me messages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she said not to our knowledge.
Okay. That other PI is welcome as well. Questions are flying in here. Heather, can we confirm that there was no scent trail detected of him leaving the house that morning?
I believe there was a scent trail. From what I understand, it stopped at the construction area behind the house where they're building homes. And it stopped at the edge of a pond.
Okay. And this is a great question from Jimmy McNutty. Do we know when the last time somebody other than the Proudfoot saw Sebastian? That would be real important in putting together a timeline, obviously. Do we know that, Heather?
That's going to be when they were at, I can't remember which restaurant it was off the top of my head, but they had gone to Strike and Bowl, and then they had gone out to eat, and then they went home. So it would have been while they were out eating.
It was amazing, again, to have Heather Cohen on. She is the host of Justice Warriors podcast, featured on the Discovery ID show Secrets, Lies, and Private Eyes. She used to be the Tennessee State Coordinator for the Q Center for Missing Persons. And as you heard live on Surviving the Survivor.
Wait, what are these credentials? Let's go back. She's been on a Discovery show about investigators where she played an investigator.
Heather Cohen on. She is the host of Justice Warriors podcast, featured on the Discovery ID show Secrets, Lies, and Private Eyes. She used to be the Tennessee State Coordinator for the Q Center for Missing Persons. And as you heard live on Surviving the Survivor, she's been retained by Seth Rogers, Sebastian's father, to become an active private investigator in this case. Your final thoughts here tonight, Heather?
Yeah, actually, I do have something I would like to say. Emotions are really high. Cases like this there's a lot of drama surrounding it. This was my second full day working the case, and a lot of time is wasted just trying to deal with all the drama. And what I want to say is, we just all need to, we're not team Chris and Katie or team Seth. It should be team Sebastian. We should all just set some things aside and work together and find Sebastian.
Well said. Finding Sebastian is the only goal, right?
They're not team Seth, but they sat there and bashed the fuck out of the Proudfoots. Here's the link to this video. This is from April 16th. She was on twice, as far as I can see.
Now, first time for Rob D'Amico. Hope it's the first of many. He's a founder and president and CEO and whatever he wants to be of Sierra One Consulting. As you heard, he served our nation as a Marine and also as an FBI special agent.
And he has Catholic guilt. We had an hour and a half podcast with him about Sebastian, and we found out that this weirdo has Catholic guilt.
And all around, you can tell a good guy who does a lot of media. And you can find him on CNN, Fox, MSNBC. How would you put a bow on this for this evening's show, Rob, in terms of where we've come and where we need to go, and obviously keeping Seth Rogers, who's Sebastian's father, in mind as we wrap up here?
I think we still have to go back to the investigators. They are doing everything they can. I'm hoping they're getting all the resources to do this, and everyone has. They talked about the drama that gets involved in this. You just have to
shut up. Discerning 8 is the one that runs Court TV's Twitter and is a moderator for Court TV here on YouTube. She says, no TBI confirmed, no scent trail at all. Our local sheriff said the same. I work with Seth and led prayer at the vigil.
Keep that clear head of what are facts, what are your suspicions if you're an investigator, and then, if you have a suspicion, how do you get facts to back that up to either prove it or disprove it? So many times these things, they end up like people think, and then you have that big surprise. But going back to, as I said, like, everything's about finding Sebastian and getting to that point where we know what happened. And people think certain things, but you don't have all the facts, you don't have all the evidence. Keeping those blinders open so when that lead comes in, that takes you that route, that you're not so close that you ignore it and you follow it to the logical conclusion. And it's just it's so hard because everyone sees it and you think this is how I would react if it was my child, but you're not there. So you don't really know. And I've seen people react 180 degrees from each other. As a young investigator, you have a tendency to go with that.
Okay, looking beyond, you're right. The thermal imaging was not used to look through the walls. What they did was they had the Faro equipment. The FBI had the Faro equipment outside. And what they do is they scan through the walls. She's wrong, per usual.
And as a more seasoned one, you're like, okay, I'm gonna note that and put it away and keep on my investigation where it leads me.
COE doesn't know we already hit this super chat, but the show today is all about finding this guy, 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, who's on the autism spectrum. Tip line is 1-800-TBI-FIND. If for some reason you don't want to reach out there, you can always email us at survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com, and I'll make sure I get it to Heather Cohen, who's now working in concert with Seth Rogers. It was amazing to have.
Don't ever send tips to YouTubers. Send them right to law enforcement. I'm going to rewind after this to hear the great quote idea Jay has talked about the last couple of days. My new mantra for sure. What do you mean, note to self? What does that mean? That's the video that we just watched. Has Seth been anywhere recently? I have no idea. But anyways, we're going to wrap that up. That went a little longer than I expected. So Myron, are you ready to roll our credits? Thank you for your support today. Thanks for watching. I will chapter this so it's easier for replay since we are kind of all over the place today. But enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I will see you definitely on Monday Live. Everybody have a great day. Myron, run those credits, buddy.
You can't talk to a fucking log.
I love you guys. Thanks so much. So much for watching. If you enjoyed this live stream or video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my latest content. Want to take it a step further?
Bring it all in.
And join our community clickers by becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You'll get exclusive access to our Discord server, special channel perks, and much more. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.
Click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying no shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my
What you are witnessing is real. The participants are not actors.
Want one Jennifer or two Jennifers?
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Jennifer loves horses. Bye, Jennifer.
And join our community clicker.
Staying up late.